So here it is, Talking Bollocks Christmas special, it's part 2. Are you excited? Did you like part 1? In part 2, we've got Andy Pilkington. We've also got Malcolm. Yes, he of the Dome. So here it is, Talking Bollocks. And that's enough, isn't it, really? Hello, welcome back. This is part 2. This really will be a minimal jibber-jabber session. Well, from me, you are going to have, it's still going to be quite a long Bollocast, because I think we've got an hour and a half with Andy Pilkington, which I think you'll enjoy because we get on very well. There's lots of chat going on there about fucking all sorts. And coming up, there is also 45 to 50 minutes, I can't remember exactly how much, with the legendary Malcolm Dome. And again, there's extra questions that he answers for Patreon listeners only, so please do, if you want to come in on the action and all the really cool stuff that's going on for Patreon subscribers, it's patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. It will cost you $5 a month or £3.70 in real terms, and basically you get loads of exclusive stuff, really cool stuff, MP3s of Acid Rain shows that have never been released and still aren't released. You get behind the scenes videos, you get extra Bollocasts. The Christmas one is going to be about an hour long, so I think it's worth it, and the people who are doing it I think it's worth it, and I really, really would appreciate any of you signing up as a little Christmas present to me. Go on, that'd be nice. Go on, please. Have I been good? Do I deserve it? Have you got £3.70 to spare? Think of what £3.70 will get over here. That will get you less. I mean, well, actually, that won't even get you a pint of beer in most pubs. Well, certainly not most pubs around where I live, anyway. That won't get you a couple of coffees. Yeah, if you're at work and you go, I'm going to the coffee shop, and someone goes, could you get me one? Yeah, I'll get it for you. You have just spent more money than you would give me in a month to get a shitload of exclusive content. So there you go. That's my pitch. I'm not going to kill you. I may as well just get my fucking begging bowl out in a minute. Really. Anyway, that's enough of me. That's enough jibber-jabber. Let's get on with the fucking interview, shall we? This is more just a Christmas chat. Fucking mic fell out again. Jesus. Andy and I met. We met in person for the first time just after we played Bloodstock in 2015, and he of course went on to do the artwork for The Man Who Became Himself, and he did the lyric video, and he lives only 10 minutes around the corner from me. But unfortunately, fortunately for him, he's moved away, or he is moving away in January, and we actually just went for our Christmas final farewell drinks a couple of days ago. I'm really going to miss him. We really do get on. We hold very different views on different subjects, but we can talk about that, and without raising voices and getting stroppy and letting emotion ruin it. We just kick back and chat here, and hope you enjoy it. First part, you might hear slight idiots in the pub behind us, but you will find that we actually move to another room and it gets a lot better once we get him to turn the jazz off in the background. But it's a really cool chat. It went for a long time, and it'll be a long time before I have Andy on the pod. Well, I'll get him on the podcast again, but we certainly won't be doing a face-to-face thing for a good long while. So sit back and enjoy. So here I am at the pub with, let's just take that down a bit, I think. Yeah, that's better. Here I am at the pub with Andy Pilkington, he of Very Metal Art. Hello, Andy.
Hello, how are you?
I am very well, how are you?
We'll
try and make out like we've just...
Yeah, we haven't been speaking for the last hour.
Yeah, we've actually been in the pub for an hour, so sorry to not be very rock and roll and pissed out of my head, and neither's Andy. If we've been we've been talking about the music business. We've been talking about the nightmare of moving house, which Andy's in the middle of at the moment.
Yes.
Selling a house. But the reason that made me switch this on, because I thought, I don't want to miss any more gold. And I apologise for making you retell it in a spontaneous style, like you didn't just say it 5 minutes ago. But so Chaos AD by Sepultura. You have a particular affinity for that album, and Go on, tell the story about about Chaos or whatever it's called.
Kiavos. It's a crap story when you can't even pronounce the bloody song name. Their acoustic track. Yeah, so
the one about the
one that was recorded in South Wales. Yeah. Well, I guess I can't remember how we found out, but we found out they were recording it there.
Yeah, because when you said that, it was like, we found. I was like, how do you find that?
I honestly can't remember. My friend Will seemed to be like one of those lucky people who you take him to a gig and he'll find the plectrum on the floor, or he'll catch the drumstick or whatever.
Yeah, but you're talking about me here. That's exactly what I used to do as well.
But somehow I think it was him. He just turned up and he knew that it was happening, and I don't know if he'd read it in a magazine. I suppose it must have been back then. That's the only way you could find out anything. But he found out they were recording it, so we jumped in his VW Beetle and headed off down to South Wales and sort of just thought we'd hang out and see if we could see them. I think that's the best we hoped for, really.
So did you know where the studio was?
He did, yeah. I mean, I can't even remember the fucking name of it now. No, I can't remember the name of it. But that was probably down to the thing I'm about to tell you about, which is the fact that when we arrived, we met their manager, who was just coming out for what we thought was a cigarette. We're sort of hanging around like the excited little kids we were, and we'll talk to anybody who looks like they know the band. And yeah, he proceeded.
Was it a magic cigarette?
It was a special roll-up.
Yeah,
but
more a doobie.
More special than we realised as well.
Marijuana.
I think that was our first experience of a pure roll, and obviously
which is weed only, kids.
With a Brazilian band with an American manager, I think. They had access to slightly more than we did at the age of 18 in suburban Cheltenham. An 18-year-old who looked like a 12-year-old as well. So we proceeded to sort of hang out and got a little go on the doobie, and that was pretty much my memory shot for a lot of that. So the recording happened, and basically we managed to get our way in and stood at the back where they were recording that track, which is just absolutely insane.
So you were actually in the recording studio?
In the hall where they recorded it, because it wasn't in a studio. It was in one of their the old
church hall.
Yeah, the old sort of medieval building for the acoustics, I assume.
Well, of course.
How a Brazilian band sort of ends up hearing about some great place in deepest, darkest South Wales. They
have people for that, don't they? Funnily enough, I interview Max on Thursday, don't I? So I'm gonna say that I was chatting to a long lost friend of his.
well, Will and Paul, the two guys I was with, they actually met. I think it was Paolo at one point who brought that up, and he remembered them. And he said, "Oh, you were the guy who stood at the back, yeah."
Oh, right, cool.
And whether that was true or not, I don't know, but that's how to make a kid very, very happy.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, if I remember, which given my memory, probably not, but if I remember, I will ask Max if he remembers that.
He's going to remember recording it, I'm sure. Pretty unusual.
You never know. It depends, doesn't it? It seems to have quite clouded memories. I mean, having read his autobiography, there's definitely some serious partying going on back in those days. Mind you, I think they were pretty fucking serious in the studio.
I'm not surprised with that quality of weed. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. In fact, they were so serious in the studio they didn't let Paolo play. Or maybe he played on that album, but
actually an interesting story about Paolo as well. Later down the line, when it was when Derek was singing, we went to see Sepultura, and it was when I was working for Scuzz TV, and
I didn't know you'd worked for Scuzz.
Yeah, I was part of the team that launched it.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, really? You mean when there was money behind it?
When it was decent, well,
yeah.
Basically what it was, Scuzz launched...
I remember the comedy guy who used to be on there, the comedy heavy metaler.
Yeah, it was, what's his name, with the dwarf...
what's his name with the dwarf?
Mullet Man.
And being a comedian myself, I find most comedians inherently unfunny. And I thought he was great. I was genuinely funny. And I'm surprised I haven't seen him anywhere else.
Yeah, it was. I did the title sequence for the Mullet Man show. I have no idea what our viewership was, but when we launched Scuzz, before they sold it off to the Ponzi channels, it was great. I mean, it was quite a young team. I think there was three of us designing 3 music channels, one of them being Scuzz. and I think there were about 4 or 5 producers and a few people sort of behind the scenes running things.
Yeah.
But we were just deciding what we were going to do. They'd come over for a meeting and they'd have these ideas about what they wanted to go and shoot, and we'd interject and come up with ideas, and we'd just go and do it, and we'd just make stuff. You know, it wasn't just playing music videos. We'd go and film things. So we went to, it was at the Underworld, Camden Underworld, and went to talk to Sepultura and do a drum workshop with Eagle. Cool. So we stood there, and Sarah Harding, who was the producer and interviewer at the time, was sort of saying, you know, we just get you to basically break down what you're doing. You go through a track slowly and sort of show the viewers what you do. He goes, okay, but what do I play? And there's me, fanboy, going, territory! Immediately just sort of shouts out. And he goes, okay, so he starts off, and I sort of stood at the back getting a little semi-awe and just watching him break down one of the best drum riffs ever. And it was amazing. So we hung around for the show and sort of met them all afterwards and had a good chat. But the story I was going to tell is they're all really clean living guys at that point. They were just drinking water. Andreas at the back with his little bottles of spring water. Derek's like clean living, muscly gym guy. But we'd been down the pub, the Tottenham down the road, with Paolo all afternoon, and he had 6 pints of Guinness before he played.
Bloody hell.
6 pints of Guinness. And when we walked back to it, we went, oh shit, we got to go, the gig's starting. And we're with Paolo. He's like, oh right, okay. We waddle off back down. And we suddenly look round, we're queuing up just to go to the box office and get our guest passes to get in. And he's with us. I'm like, dude, you're that way. You're backstage. And he's like, oh, okay. Sort of point him in the right direction and push him off, and he goes back. But
so he was going to queue up with you, was he?
But he was hammered. But when he came on, he was a monster. He was on it, and he sounded good. He did, you know, for whatever he did or didn't record.
Yeah.
On stage, he was a monster, and he was fucking brilliant. Absolutely with it. So it was a good show.
That is awesome.
Good times.
That is awesome. Well, look, I'm speaking to a few people. This is going to be part of a Christmas podcast. And I'm speaking to a few people, Malcolm Doan, Godless from the Metal Podcast, on highlights of the year. Obviously, musical, you know, not like, you know, Tottenham winning the FA Cup or something like that. But,
that wouldn't be my highlight.
No. Is it anyone's? Yeah, I would say highlights of the year. It could be anything. Do you know what I mean? It could be like, you know, within music. It could be a news story. It could be people, you know, coming back. Bands reforming. I mean, let's face it. Everyone's very excited to hear the new Living Colour album.
A tricky one.
You know, or you know, obviously, Galactic Cowboys reforming is it's very exciting for 5 people in Seattle.
Do you know what? I think for me, it's not particularly.
By the way, I've sort of semi-sprung someone on him as well because I want to get a genuine.
For me,
Acid Rain Hats. Which gig?
Well, I didn't see this. Oh no, I did. Underworld, that was brilliant. Actually, yeah, watching you nearly die, jumping off the mixing desk roof was. Then that's not a highlight. Surviving it was a highlight.
Yes.
We were all worried you were going to die.
I know, because if you watch the video of that, there's everybody. The stage is rammed full of people awaiting my death.
When you actually hear someone on the mic on stage,
Paul,
one of your band members actually saying, "Don't
do it, man."
In a squeaky,
"Don't do it, man."
Don't pleading voice.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a brilliant gig. Yeah, that was very good.
I was mad.
But it wasn't my favourite because I knew I had to go on stage for Mick, and I don't like going on stage. So
of course,
that was good. I think it's a fairly dull answer, but it's Bloodstock for me. I think every year that's always my highlight. And it's because
I don't think it's dull at all.
Because I don't really go out much. I don't do gigs much. Family thing, you know. I've done my gigs in my time, but when I go to Bloodstock, it's a mix of an amazing event, but I also get to see all the people I don't see. So the gigs I miss, all those band members are either there playing or they're there watching. Yeah. And you kind of just get to catch up and just see really great things happen. And I think the fact that it's doing so well as a festival now, I think, you know, that buzz is growing year on year, and it's a very special place.
It's a weird one. I mean, I went when we played there. I don't know if you know, we played Bloodstock 2016.
I think you mentioned.
Yeah, smashed it. Yeah. Should have been there. Oh, hang on, you were. Yeah. In fact, it's the first time we ever met.
Yeah, it was.
Was in the bar afterwards.
It was. Yeah.
When I'd come out to try and
you
expend some...
You had a reputation of being slightly grumpy, and you looked like a very, very excited child. That was the buzz.
Hang on. That reputation of being slightly grumpy, that reputation was with you. Yeah, that wasn't a reputation that you heard from other people.
All right, grumpy's the I don't say that because I know you now. I tell you what, you don't suffer fools gladly. Put it that way. And people know that. You don't.
Really? I mean, I try not to be rude to anyone.
No, you're not rude. I'm exactly the same though. But you don't. I think you speak your mind. You're not someone who's going to sort of just put up with someone coming and talking nonsense. Yeah, do you know,
it's kind of weird hearing that back at me, because I kind of think that doesn't sound like me, and then I think, you know, where this interview is taking place in my podcast, and that is pretty much all it is.
But that's why you and I get on, I think, is because basically we you know, for anyone who doesn't know either of us, we're both very opinionated. And we don't really agree on lots of the obvious things. I think more personally we do. We understand, in ethos-wise we do.
Yeah.
But I think we just like to have a conversation with someone who doesn't row, but can put the opposite side across.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's kind of an enjoyable conversation to hear someone put an eloquent point of view across. And I think that's kind of where you come from. You don't accept what people say. You'll say what you think in return. And I'm exactly the same.
Well, I think, and you're absolutely right there. There's the value of being able to have a discussion with people where you don't agree, that stays the whole way through a discussion.
Yeah. It's not Facebook, where by the third comment, it's, you know, you're a cunt.
Yeah. And
or mentioning Hitler, which is usually someone brings that into it.
Yeah, or as I've always said, go onto YouTube, go down the comments, and sooner or later somebody's blaming everything on the blacks. Except the N-word, which I obviously would never use. No, that's a fair point. It's really weird. I don't. Odd, but anyway, tangent. But
yeah, that night you were ridiculously excited.
I was
fairly tipsy, and I came over and said hi.
I know. I as usual, I sometimes as well, I just tend to sort of say whatever. I've become quite adept at recovering from bad situations through being a comic. You have free licenses to say what you want, but you're on stage and it's semi unreal. So if you do say something really outrageous or offensive, you get to backtrack and you get to work it, and people will laugh. But the weird thing is, I've been doing it so long now that sometimes you will just I'll blurt something out, and it's either the wrong thing to say or it's clearly gone the wrong way. And you know, I'm quite adept at kind of reeling that comment back in and explaining myself and getting away with it. And I think virtually one of the first things I said to you was, we're the same height. For some reason, I thought Andy Pilkington was a really big bloke. And thinking about it now, it's like, that was the first thing you said. Really, Howard? Really? That could have gone horribly wrong.
But that's kind of nice in a way, you know, because it's like, you know, you actually had a thought. I wasn't just like, who the fuck are you?
But the point I was actually trying to get to was some friends of mine came from Scotland to Bloodstock, because we were on, obviously. But no, you know, for the fest, you know, and they'd got fucked off with Download. They got fucked off with the when's the next band on? An hour and a half. Best set off now. And the whole commerciality and everything that Download is. I'm not slagging Download off, because ultimately I'd like to play there, but no, it is what it is. I mean, you can't say it isn't.
No, but it's different. It's different to what it was.
Completely different market.
But because it's come from such an authentic and such an important place, I think that's why it's so different. If it was always like that, if it was a Reading festival, it'd be different.
It's just geography. Reading and Leeds. I mean, what do you mean Reading and Leeds? There was just Reading. They've just managed to tack Leeds on there to make some more money. And Reading and Leeds are commercial.
But even Download was good in the early days. You know, when it came back and it was Download, it was it was big then. I don't know. It's not my thing now, but yeah, it has a place definitely. I mean, it still sells enough tickets. So
yeah, well, absolutely. But friends from Scotland came down, and two Scottish girls and one with her fella, and a girl I know they were together, but obviously she's like a woman on her own, as it were. And she said, I saw him on the Saturday, and she came up and she said, I'm just having the best time. She said, this has totally reaffirmed my love of festivals again. And she's like, she said, you know what, it's just that there just seems to be a nice kind of person here. She said, she said, I'd go wandering around this festival on my own, no problem. She goes, I would not do that at Download. And she said, we've made loads of friends. She goes, we've been going to Download for the last 10 years. Never made any friends. And she said, we've only been here 2 days.
Yeah, you can be stood in the queue and you've made people you're going to go on holiday with.
Yeah. And,
it's absolutely true.
And they went again last year, despite the fact we weren't on.
You're not Evil Scarecrow, come on.
No, there you go. House band. But it was really, I was kind of taken aback, and it was my first proper experience of Bloodstock as well, because when I guested there with Reanimator, it was kind of pretty much in and out. And I was driving as well.
But the thing is, it's really new for me as well, because having a family and sort of going through transitions in life, I took time out from festivals. It wasn't gigs as well, because I was working in the music industry. I kind of fell out of love with the social side of gigs, and having gone to Download, Monsters of Rock and Download for so many years, and seeing that change, I just stopped. I mean, Bloodstock just wasn't for me. I always thought Bloodstock was, death metal or black metal or whatever. It just sounded that way, and I never really followed it. When I first started realising what it was the time I just wasn't doing festivals. And then I started working, doing some artwork for it and some video work, and got more involved and got to know people who were involved and managed a band who got to play. And just thought, what the fuck have I been missing for so long? The first time I went there, I was literally, just smacked in the face by how unique it was, just how different it was. It feels small and friendly, it feels welcoming, it feels well organised and contained, but it's just got this personality.
Size, but it's the right size. That's. I mean, the fact that Mastodon could finish their set at 10 to 10, and we'd start at 10, and where there we are on the second stage, and it's round because it's just a short walk away.
Yeah. But to add to that, a great band will finish on the main stage, and you'll walk away and you'll take 10 paces, and you're next to the Jägermeister stage where there's some great band who's just playing their little set outdoors on this tiny stage you can barely fit in.
Yeah, and usually when you walk past these tents, you can't actually see the band.
No, it's just fucking insane. And that's become, for me, and I think for a lot of people, it's become like a hub of where to go now. You're going to find your next favourite band there. And you'll find a prog band like Twisted Illusion, or you'll find Attica Rage, great up in Scotland, or you just find this whole mix of styles. They'll put death metal bands on there, they'll put rock, they'll put the more punky stuff on, and it's amazing. And then you leave that and you go off to Sophie, and you'll see something inside like you guys, or any number of the best of emerging talents, and then you fuck off to the New Blood stage, and you'll just see how ashamed most music should be, the fact that these tiny little bands are just putting most big bands to shame. And I mean, I don't think any festival really does it in the same way. It's not just the vibe, it's what they do as well. It's the bands they put on.
Well, it's the metal to the masses thing as well, isn't it? It's like it's plugged into the underground.
Yeah. It's not even plugged into it now, it's driving it, and that's the difference. I think it started off plugging into the talent we've had, but now it's getting behind it, which is the difference. I mean, that's something I did. I sponsored 3 events last year, to give away prizes of free lyric videos or artwork, and that's how I was at the Underworld to see you. But I think when an event like Bloodstock gets behind the music scene and pushes it and creates it, so every year those bands are looking at or waiting for those opportunities to play.
Yeah,
that's when it starts making its mark. It's not just providing; it's generating. You know, it's starting to propel the scene in a certain direction, and that's a fucking amazing thing. And I don't think that happens anywhere else. I don't think any other event's ever done that. You know, you look back at history. Download was Monsters of Rock, but what Bloodstock are doing to the masses, I don't think we've ever had in music before. I really don't. You know.
Not plugged into a major festival.
No. We're not given those opportunities where you've got 3 full days of unsigned and emerging talent all playing, you know, just given the same opportunities, the same equipment, the same crowd a lot of the time as the big bands. I think it's completely unique.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, a band that comes out of playing the New Blood stage at Bloodstock has a taste of what it's like to be a big band. I don't think you'll ever get that anywhere else, and I think that can change the future of the band, you know. I think you come out of that and you're driven into doing something different, and you see it happen. You see bands who then go on to play the Sophie stage and, like Evil Scarecrow, love them or hate them, because obviously they have got an unusual edge to them. The fact that they can play on the main stage and have 10,000 people at 11 o'clock in the morning dancing
left and right,
like no one else, you know, more people than moving than Megadeth, technically, because no one was moving for Megadeth as much as they were good. They were great, but they weren't moving.
Megadeth don't move. I'm not going to fucking move.
But you know, if a band can do that, and you can see that path where you go from new to Sophie to main stage, it's an amazing thing. And I think overall that's what Bloodstock does for everybody, whether you're a band or a fan or even people who work there.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because even as a comedian, I remember one particular venue. I remember going and doing an open spot there, and God, where was it? Just outside Southampton. I can't remember the area, but I used to play there probably about once a year, and I started out doing an open spot, and then I progressed to a middle spot, and then I progressed to opening, and then I progressed to headlining, and it was an awesome feeling to turn up at that gig and think, I'm closing this. But being able to remember when, funnily enough, the comedy night used to be, it was at a theatre, but the comedy night used to take place in the bar. And then it got so popular they moved it into the main theatre, and then and it was in the main theatre when I came back to close, and it was just like, wow, it's not often that you get these like really vivid markers that go, whoa, they literally make you smell the roses. Do you know what I mean? They stop you in your tracks and go, just take a breath.
Yeah, you're actually aware at the time.
Yes, you're in the moment,
happening,
as opposed to looking back on it and going, oh, hang on.
But that's a really nice way of describing Bloodstock and those kind of events. You kind of, during that weekend, you are aware that you're experiencing something special, and I think that's the difference. I think it's very easy to look back at things and think they were great, and that doesn't, you know, devalue them in any way. But if you can really appreciate something while you're doing it, I think that's
absolutely,
that's very special.
Absolutely. By the way, for those of you listening, sorry about the in the background. God bless her. You know, it's what happens when you drink on an empty head.
Yes.
So any particular album highlights or anything like that this year?
Well, we've discussed it.
We have.
And yeah, I think my album highlight. Well, no, actually, my true album.
Highlights.
My biggest album. How long you got? No, I think
all night.
I think the biggest impact that anything's had on me for a long time is Gojira and Magma.
Oh, of course, yeah. That was last year.
But it's something very new for me though, because I didn't really listen to them early on. My friends played them for me, and I thought, yeah, this is cool. But I didn't click in. I just didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't click in. And then when I heard Magma, I just immediately smitten. And that's been my year has basically been about sort of rapid development in learning about Gojira and the back catalogue, and especially the new album. But recently, the Von Hertzen brothers, who, for the benefit of the record, I tried to explain to H, and he didn't get it.
You did. No. You did. You didn't try to explain.
I did explain.
You explained,
but
then I played their music and went, don't know what he's fucking talking about.
No, but
it sounds like bog standard krautrock.
Finnish, thank you very much.
Finnish?
Finnish.
I didn't realise. I thought there was.
Does that change it?
I don't know. Do you know what? I'm so lazy. I mean, I am. I don't know. If I was a kid now going to school, I would either be classified as dyslexic or having ADD or ADHD or all three. I just see the von.
Yeah.
And that's it. That my brain just goes, German. There you go, Howard. Well done. You've done your homework. You've seen the three-letter word in the in the name of the band. Yeah, German, isn't it?
But I think the whole
typical lack of fucking homework on my part.
Well, I think music's what it is. You react in the way you react.
But even so, I did listen.
Yeah, at least you did.
And I really did not hear a single thing that you were talking about. But so
well, for me, this year's been about. It's probably starting with Gojira. It's been like, a cliche, but a year of discovery, because I've kind of moved away from my normal thrash, death metal-y kind of preferences. Like, I'll listen to something, then back to Anthrax. Just listen to that 1,600 times.
Absolutely.
And I've really looked at other stuff, and it's mostly through the clients I work with, and I've had a few prog bands. It's kind of a wider conversation. I don't know what prog is. I just know that a lot of my clients are prog.
Well, there's prog, Marillion, Genesis,
which is that's what I would have always said.
And that's what I think.
Pink
prog.
Floyd.
But then people turn around and say, "Well, Tool are prog now." And plenty of people have said that the Book of Souls, Iron Maiden, that is very prog.
At which point I'm entirely lost at what the fuck they're talking about.
Well, I think what it is basically, if you stray into the territory of a 10-minute song, then people start saying you're proggy. I genuinely think now it's got to a case where people who have long songs are considered to be prog. So it should be interesting when we all get to hear the new Machine Head album, because a little bird tells me there's some long old songs on that. But I think it's I think
the conclusion
there's prog and there's falling asleep on the job, right, which for me Tool did on their last album, which was like, look, that's great, I'm really pleased you're enjoying playing that groove, but for fuck's sake, it's been 5 minutes now. Well,
that's exactly what I got. But then, I mentioned them earlier, Twisted Illusion, a band I really shouldn't like, but they're a young band, and they're almost kind of pop rock, but they great musicians, really creative, high screechy vocals, which I wouldn't normally like, but just really engaging stuff. And because they tell me they're prog, that means they're prog. It doesn't make any sense to me, because it doesn't relate to anything I know about prog.
They don't sound prog.
But that's what it is.
Pop rock with screechy vocals.
Yeah, but their songs are really long. One of them, the latest. There you go. The latest album, they've got a 28-minute song.
Well, there you go.
My conclusion is, I actually put a
order. Judge, I put it to you, Your Honour, that prog is just basically, if you've got long songs, you are now prog, and that's it.
Well, that's kind of the best I could get, to be honest.
Go to the other room. So right, we're gonna make a move into the other room. So I'll just pause this. So we've moved into funnily enough, the part of the pub where I last interviewed you.
Away from the crazies.
Yeah, away from the crazies. We couldn't do any more of those annoying people in the background. So here we are. So one thing I was going to say to you, actually, we've done half an hour already.
Jesus.
I know, it's just frightening, isn't it?
It's like, it must be prog.
Yeah, it's a prog interview, yeah. So what I was going to say to you was, I got the remaster of Master of Puppets today.
Yes.
Have you got yours?
I haven't, but I've heard from our mutual friend, Mr. Godwin, Simon Godwin.
Oh right. When you say you've heard from him, do you mean you've been needlessly tagged in a Facebook post?
Yes. I'm not a reviewer, but
I wasn't tagged in it.
Oh really?
Well, I always remove the tag immediately, and I've been doing that for about 18 months, and I reckon he might have noticed. There's a chance.
Or maybe it's your comments on Metallica. No, but he did say it sounded fantastic. I mean, I've not even thought about buying it because I've got the Direct Metal Master double gatefold vinyl from back when, and just assumed
we all
it was
like
the same thing.
Yeah.
But he's saying it sounds better, so that makes me want to hear it, because Master of Puppets is just incredible.
Well, I was talking to Paul, Acid Rain guitarist, today, and he was saying he thought it was great. And I think that meant I ended up with raised expectations, which is always dangerous. So so I've listened to it, and it's clearer. There's a clarity to it, and you can definitely hear Cliff better, and it's cleaned that guitar sound up, because it's actually. Whenever you go back and listen to Master of Puppets, I'm always amazed by how almost muddy the guitar sound is. It's not a clean sort of thrash guitar sound.
You get used to it because of for the legacy of it. You associate it with an intentional sound, I think, and that's just what you accept from it. I think it's only when you hear something that's slightly different that you realise it could have been improved. I mean, to me, it's kind of cheers. It's the perfect album. So, someone telling me it's even 1 or 2% clearer, better, different makes me want to hear it, because it's one of the most important, the most important album to me, I think.
Right. I mean, I am torn. Because as much as I agree, and is it my most important album? Is it my favourite album? Is that the touchstone, the go-to? It's then I have to go, well, Rain in Blood is a fucking masterpiece and shaped the musical landscape as much as Master of Puppets in different ways.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And also the thing about again, this is all ethereal stuff. It doesn't really, you don't hear it, but nobody fucking expected that from Slayer.
No,
I mean, plenty of people. We were all hanging on Master of Puppets coming out, massive pre-sale.
It was going in that direction, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was expecting.
I think the production was different.
This is going to be. Well, as a friend of mine described it, because he got the Shades copy, so he got it from Shades and he got it shipped early, and so we were talking about it at school, and he went. It starts with an acoustic intro, like Fight Fire with Fire, but better. And then the song comes in, it's fucking awesome, battery, it's brilliant. Then it's Master of Puppets, which is really good, sort of medium pace, so got some awesome bits in it. Then there's the Fade to Black, Welcome Home, and we were all just getting excited about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he got it a few days early. But Rain in Blood, it was like, I mean, you play Hell Awaits to somebody, not knowing and never heard Slayer, you play Hell Awaits to somebody and go, and 18 months later they did this. You'd be like,
I think what I missed out on there was I didn't have that frame of reference, because I hadn't really heard Slayer before that.
Right.
So I think, sort of working back, you just, once you hear that and you buy the back catalog, you think, what the fuck's this? It's amazing, because the songs are catchier. There's really catchy songs on their early albums, but it's completely different. You just look at the inlay sleeves, at the way they looked, and you think, something happened. They just they decided they were going to change.
Well, what happened was Rick Rubin. What happened? I mean, it's
for their look as well.
Well, not the look, no, but they pretty much dumped the eyeliner by Hell Awaits. That's Show No Mercy. I sound like a Slayer. I sound like a Slayer apologist now. I don't know. I was like, and the Nazi stuff was a laugh. Come on,
but
who's not told a Hitler joke? You humorless cunt.
They were a heavy Judas Priest, weren't they? That's where they
absolutely.
And they were fucking brilliant.
But I mean, I love Hell Awaits. It's crying out for a half decent production, but I love it. But from a sound point of view, it was Rick Rubin that actually stopped drowning everything in reverb and Dave Lombardo. I'm paraphrasing Dave Lombardo, saying Rick Rubin did as much as anybody to find the Slayer sound, to refine the sound. And not only that, and I'm sure I've told this on the podcast before, I bought it on import because it wasn't available over here. I mean, they did a sellout UK tour back in those days. They did a sellout UK tour of an album you could not buy in the fucking shops, apart from on import in specialist record shops. People listening to this who
weren't around then.
Yeah, exactly. Who know how easy it is to get music now must be like, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, did you go to a well?
That's the thing. My memory, and it's my best memory, but my memory of those days is we'd head into town. Either 2 or 3 of us, all into Mel. Yeah. We'd head to Badlands in Cheltenham, which is a record shop.
And a suitable name.
We'd get off the bus and we'd wander in, just count our money, see what we had to spend, and then as we got closer, we'd start speeding up, and someone would overtake, and then just as we got close to the door, people would start sprinting and racing. We'd fight in, because we knew once we got in there, you'd only find one fucking copy of the album you wanted, and you didn't know what you wanted, so you'd have to fight to get in there. You'd have to rifle through, and you would judge it on the cover, or hopefully on the name you knew. But if you managed to get there first, the chances are there wasn't going to be a second copy in there.
Absolutely.
So you won it. You'd have to wait a few weeks.
I remember going to Leeds with Gaz, our original guitarist and Cathedral founder, and we went to Virgin Records in Leeds. Was the big one. And fair play, Virgin knew what they were fucking doing. And they had, I don't know if it was a metal import section, I think it was actually, and they obviously knew what was going on with this thrash thing. And I remember me and Gaz went, and I beat him to Eternal Devastation by Destruction. I got there just before him, and I got out, I was like, get him! Tornado with lots of hair, come on, what's not to like? And then 28 years later or whatever, I'm fucking interviewing him. Then he got Crossover by DRI.
Amazing.
And I mean, I don't know how many trips we did. They've kind of all blurred into one now, really, I think. I don't know how many trips we did into Leeds, but a lot. Because we couldn't even get this shit in the town we lived. So
how far did you used to have to travel for that kind of shit then?
Well, it's just 45 minutes on the train. I mean, I could just drive it now in 25 minutes. But yeah, so it'd be 45 minutes on the old Bone Shaker train. So get on at Harrogate, and then it'd be Panel, and then it'd be Horsforth.
I was going to say horse then.
Get
on the horse.
Yeah, that's it. Or horse. How times have changed. And just basically going through, Buttfuck County, Arkansas. Just going through all the little things. And funnily enough, that train line's still there. It's still a bone shaker. Amazing. I haven't been on it for years. But that was our connection to Leeds. So anything we wanted to do in Leeds, we had to take that train. So that's what we did. We'd take that train all the way in. And actually, do you know what? I just going back to the Slayer thing. So I got it on import. It was so loud that it made the stylus jump because it was cut so loud, and it made your stylus jump. And it wasn't.
I'm trying to remember because I had
it wasn't that there was vinyl. It wasn't there was scratches and the vinyl wasn't faulty. It was so loud. So when I played Rain and Blood, I used to have to put a 2p on.
You know what it was? The spiral was so loose because it was such a short album. It's like a 7-inch single spread over 12 inches.
It was mad. I went through. And then I bought 2 copies in the end because the first one became unplayable, and then I was onto the 2p trick by then, so I was able to make the second one last.
So I hardly ever listened to my vinyl because it was rare we come to my house. We had a group of friends, metal friends who we go to, and we go to my friend Paul's house, and he had it on tape. And tape actually was great. It sounded fantastic. He looked after
absolute bollocks.
Back in the day.
That's revisionist history. Tape is fucking shit.
It did. Then it did. It sounded great.
But the best thing about tape was that you could listen to music on the go.
We could listen to music. The honest truth is that's the good thing is we had a way of listening to music, and that's what he had.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
But you know what I mean. So it was the romanticism of the quality more than the quality.
It is because people go, "Oh, wasn't tape great?" No, it's like,
it wasn't.
Just imagine. I mean,
I won't argue that.
And for anybody listening to this again, who's from those years prior, just imagine like having an album going. I want to listen to so and so.
Do we need to describe tapes?
No, I want to listen to so and so song. Okay, well, good luck finding it. What do you mean? We've got the album right here. Yeah, but you've got to find the song you want.
That wasn't even a question, was it? You couldn't do that. You could never choose a song, not unless it was the first song of side B.
But that was the best thing about Rain in Blood. Again, back to Rain in Blood, bringing all things back to Rain in Blood. You could get Rain in Blood twice on a C60.
Yep.
You know, because C60 is usually the preserve of a long album. Yeah. Dare I say, prog. You would like see the 60s were for something quite long.
Yeah.
To get Rain in Blood on both sides is what I had. So it's literally listen to Rain in Blood, flip it over. Ho!
So on the subject
back again
of excitement around Rain in Blood, do you remember back in the day those?
By the way, we are both aware of this. Sounds like just a couple of old cunts.
No, well, we are
going on, but yeah.
But why not? We can't talk to young people about this. If you're on Facebook, someone will moan at us.
Well, also, this is the kind of thing that at Christmas that you can just sit back and listen to and just go like, yeah, this is actually quite heartwarming.
Yeah. Here's a story for the oldies.
Yeah. These two old bastards going on. Most people listening to this are old bastards as well. So.
H, stoke the fire.
yeah. Let's face it. One thing neither of us needs to do is soak the fire or poke the bear.
Well, what I was going to say is, do you remember those Christmas specials on TV, the Elvira TV shows they had, where they had the Slayer live gig, the Napalm Death, Metallica, and all those things, and it was like, what the fuck is this? You don't have metal on TV, and suddenly one Christmas we had Heavy Metal Heaven, and there was just the heaviest of shit and the coolest of shit all over Christmas.
Yeah.
And we just, all of us videotaped it, just so we couldn't wear it out. So we all had a copy each. And that's what we watched for the next year. We just watched all of them.
What was that Channel 4 programme that started? Venom were on it, Warrior were on it. I bought the Warrior album on the bass lesson.
When was that?
We are fighting for the earth. We are fight. Honestly, fucking hell. They did come back, actually, I think. I take the piss out of that. All these other bands come. You've got, no, I'm just on my own here, aren't
I want to know, but I don't.
Oh God, I wish I could remember it. People are. This is so annoying. People are like listening to this, shouting, either with headphones on, shouting, or shouting at like speakers, going, "It was fucking this, you stupid old fucker." I can't remember for the life of me. I'll fucking mention it at the beginning of it.
But that whole idea of...
You know the one I mean, anyway.
But when you kind of... You can easily cross-reference it to today's society as far as metal goes. But how exciting it was when you would turn on Top of the Pops and Maiden or Motorhead would be on there taking the piss.
Yeah.
You would all be there waiting for Top of the Pops because Iron Maiden were on there this week and you knew about it. Or there was a programme on about heavy metal on BBC Two and you would just... Yeah. It would be the most important thing in months.
Diamonds in the Rough. Yeah. You'd just be like... Well, I remember going to a friend's house and my mother knew how much I loved Marillion.
Yeah.
And so she let me go to a friend's house down the road, and it was about 11 o'clock at night, and I was like about 14, and I was allowed to go there. Actually, it was my sister's current boyfriend at the time who got me into Marillion, and Marillion were going to be on, and it was what is recital of the script, the DVD video that you could get. It was basically them at Hammersmith Odeon.
Yeah.
And we were all sat there, and I was absolutely, I had script for a Jester's Tear, for Fugazi was now. I had script for a Jester's Tear. Really, just like that's all I played, basically. And I started getting all of the singles so I could listen to the B-sides and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was just Marillion mad. And 11 o'clock at night, BBC Two, they were going to show Marillion in concert from, pre-recorded from the Hammersmith Odeon.
Yeah.
So we all sat down and they came on, and that is the first time I'd ever seen what the band looked like. So, you know, Fish comes on, and he's like, in your mind's eye, you've had this idea of what this person looks like, and it's just like 6'4", massive Scottish bloke wearing what looks like sort of a smock with a painted face.
Amazing.
And it was just, I was just absolutely blown away, jaw on the floor. And yeah, all little bits and pieces like that used to make that would, you know, like Maiden going in straight into the charts, number 2 with Holy Smoke.
But it's I was bored of Maiden by then.
Yeah,
but it was so exciting.
Song.
But it was so exciting. It's the mystery that's gone, and for everything positive, and today's technology provides so much for the listener, or the band, or the promoter, or everyone.
Yeah,
but,
and we can't.
But to lose that magic of surprise and not knowing and excitement, is the elusiveness of your music, the fact that you had to be almost lucky to be able to see your band if you weren't going to a gig. That's the stuff that people don't realise. That's why today people who were around then hark back to those days, because you could never replace that. There's nothing today that replaces it. For all the positives you get, nothing will ever actually replace the magic and the mystery of what you used to get from having fuck all.
Yes, yeah. But what you're the wider point that you're making, and is very, very true, is that all of those things put a value on the music. They put a value on those experiences that are now 10 a penny. And it's that you know that's lost. And I was thinking the other day, and it's a very fair point. I remember also, as a music fan, you know, it's not all fucking, you know, it was all better in my day. Because I remember seeing CDs at $14.99 and thinking, this is taking the fucking piss.
Yeah.
You know, 15 quid for a CD, which now you'll get for 8 quid.
Yeah.
I was talking to Danny Filth about this the other day, and he was saying it's like, it's like, you know, CDs now, it's just like, well, whatever it is, even if I just vaguely think I might like it, I'll buy it, because it's cheap.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, and I apologise to listeners who might have heard me go on about this before, but back in the day, if you are going to spend 12, 13, 15 quid on a CD, you ain't going to come home, spin the first 3 minutes and go, nah, I can't be bothered. Because because you've invested in it, literally, not figuratively. You have literally invested money in it. And also, I'm a Yorkshireman. I'm like, right, I'm going to get my fucking money.
But you've expended energy getting the fucking to the shop to actually get it and bring it back.
Absolutely. And then actually,
well, for me, for my memories of albums, because I was lucky enough to have, you know, these metal mates who we sort of go through these processes of new releases and go to buy them. But I have really, really clear memories of certain album releases. Like you and I off the recording spoke about Aerosmith last time we had a beer.
We did.
But I remember going to get Pump. I remember going to buy it. We went round to my friend Paul's. Normally he'd come with us. I can't remember why he couldn't come. I think he had to look after the kids or something. A couple of us went off into town to go and do the ceremony of buying the album and brought it back. And I just remember that whole thing of going to get it, looking at the inlay sleeve on the bus home, you know, just reading the lyrics and getting excited about what we're about to listen to, getting home, hearing it. And it really was this whole event, you know, just listening to a CD. The limitations of music made that an event, and that's what we don't have now. But I just have these fixed memories of all the big albums and what we did, and I can remember really clearly where we were, where we bought it from, even how much it cost, you know.
But also I think thinking about that, that also meant that there was a very definite hierarchy, and you know, you basically. There was a level of bands like your Aerosmiths and all the rest, and basically if you weren't in that club, you were really going to struggle to ever get to that level. Whereas I think the playing field is a lot more open now. You know, it's open for bands to come through. Because the volume of music that's out there, the volume of bands that are out there. But there's I don't know, maybe there's always been that volume. I know a lot of people say, like, well, you know, you can record music easier, so it's you know, it's easy to get in contact with people. You know, you can use the internet, and it's cheaper to record, and that's why there's more music. And I'm kind of like, well, actually, is that the case? I mean, instruments, you know, you've still, you know, for our kind of music, you still need fucking instruments. Wasn't just a case of there was a shitload of music around. It's just that record labels were the arbiters of taste, and you know, if you didn't get on a label, you didn't get heard outside of your town. Whereas now, the 10 bands that are in your town are getting heard and are able to make their way. You know, whereas, you know, bands who were lucky enough, it wasn't luck. Yeah. You make your own luck to get signed, like us. We got out there.
It's really hard to say. I mean, it's something I've asked myself a lot, because people question the validity of, you know, promotion or home recording or whatever these days, and there are a lot of debates around emerging music, and I always ask myself, you know, was it different back then? And it's really hard to say, because on one hand you could say, of course all the same bands are there, because we were always just as inspired, if not more so, when we were younger, to be in bands and play. But on the other hand, I think maybe there are more now, because you know you can commit to a CD much easier, much cheaper. Therefore, the idea is that you can be heard easier. If you know you can get your music onto a medium people can listen to, Facebook, you know, YouTube or whatever, does that drive you more? Perhaps you are more committed to the recorded form than you used to be. Whereas for me, it was always about playing a gig live. There was nothing else, because we couldn't record. You know, we're never going to be in a studio playing on a tape or vinyl. That wasn't even something we considered. So it was about playing a decent gig.
Yeah, whereas now, a live band,
because you know there are opportunities to get heard, maybe you redirect your music to a certain way, to the recorded form rather than live. So maybe there are more bands now because the opportunity drives people in that direction. It's very difficult to say.
Yeah,
bands certainly sound better now.
Yeah,
but not necessarily live.
Although, do you know what? Here's an operation for you. Go and get the remastered version of South of Heaven and play it back to back with.
Is it backwards then?
No, not backwards.
That would be really heavy.
But play a track off that, and then play a track off something like World Painted Blood.
Yeah.
Or Repentance, and see how fucking good South of Heaven sounds. And South of Heaven isn't the best produced album of that era. It's up for debate, because I know you know, I know young people.
They exist.
Some of my friends are young people, and I know a lot of them prefer you know, modern production. But there is also a thing, as there were some fucking great productions back in the day that were basically to make it sound a little bit bigger. You know, there's that whole big metal sound. Whereas now, I don't necessarily think many bands go for that big fucking sound.
No, I agree.
It's about how heavy you are.
Do you know? I think we've passed through a real phase of production as well. I think we're coming back to the point where the accessibility of social media has also given us access to knowledge about producers. Yeah. So we've had these debates about production and stuff, and we've gone through it, and most people have heard all the arguments 10 times over, and now we're actually acting on it. So when someone talks about the value of a producer, people look into a producer and learn about them and follow them, and a producer gets a name about them. And there are a few people around now, you know, I see that through my clients, where people sort of home in on these real talents who can just take a really good sounding homemade thing. Everything sounds good now. Yeah. Does it sound great? I don't know, but everything sounds good. It sounds balanced, it sounds heavy, it sounds professional.
Yeah.
But whether it's better than other things now depends on producers. I think people understand and know producers, and I think that's starting to happen. I think people are going to these guys who've come out of their bedrooms and created studios, homemade again, but are becoming really, really well known because they've got the talent, not just the gear. And I think that's what I'm seeing now, especially through, you know, I deal with maybe 300 or 400 songs a year through my business, and hear these things, and I compare them, and you can hear a great tune that sounds crap, and you can hear a bad tune that sounds great.
Yeah.
And everything in between, but there really is a place for a good producer these days, and there are a few people that I'm starting to see people go to.
Well,
and maybe it's bringing back, you know, that those qualities that you and I are talking about.
Well, I remember speaking to Andy Sleep around the time we were recording our last single, and we were struggling for a mix, and it was looking like we weren't going to have the studio time to do it, and I said, Andy, look, can you do me a favour and mix this tune? And he said, mate, I'd love to, but I'm in with. It was either Saxon then Priest or Priest then Saxon. In between, he was doing a gig with Hell, which he wasn't going to be able to do any rehearsals for. He was just literally just going to rock up to the gig. And I was like, dude, you do not have to apologise. He's like, I'm really sorry. It's like, you do not have to apologise for A, not being able to do me a favour, and B, being so fucking good at your fucking job. You know. It is just that I've got to reference that when you were talking there about producers and everything, and you say making it sound good and all the rest of it, and I was thinking there was this fucking wailing bitch on the music in the background, and just really annoying. If any of you were listening were like kept getting bits of that music in the background and going, God, that's fucking annoying. Yeah. That, me too. It was fucking horrible. So, pause.
I should be told them why rather than just being...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, should have probably about half an hour ago asked them to turn the music down in there. Because now it is.
Has he got any Slayer?
yeah, let's get him to stick some Slayer on. That'd be awesome. Oh. Bloody hell. So old blokes talk old music.
It's nice. I like it.
Anything else sort of wet your whistle this year, other than like delving into Gojira? Because I know you listen to a massive amount of music in a really, really horrendous way as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a peaceful way.
I mean, for the benefit of the listener, I mean, Andy does a lot of. Lyric videos, and then not all the music is as brilliant as Acid Rain. So unfortunately, so I mean, making a lyric video,
most of it's good actually. I mean, I think the nature of who I'm connected to drives who comes to me, and I honestly would say maybe 19 out of 20 tracks I really like, because I'm really lucky.
Bloody hell.
It is a very high success rate. I do really get into it. I think that's what's pushed me into different genres, is that when you have to listen to something, you realise it's good quite quickly. You don't have to like the style, but you know what's good. If you know music, you know, okay, this isn't what I normally listen to, but yeah, they've done it well. Yeah. And I think I pick up on that. And yeah, you're right, it is very difficult. I thought that maybe I need to do, I think we all, in ourselves, whether anyone else wants to listen to it or not, we all feel like we need to do our top 10s each year. And I'm not sure what I'll do with mine, because I've heard a lot of good stuff, and it is mostly single based.
I've got to be honest, I do a top 5 at the beginning of each year, and I'd struggled to do a top 10 this year. This year's just been, for me, has just been a bit of a quiet year. I think going over my top 5 for the year, it's yeah.
I'm old and can't remember, which is my major problem. But if I'd made a list as I went along, I think I'd have a pretty massive one. It's mostly...
Did Creator come out this year? Oh God!
No, it was early on. If it did.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been this year. No.
And we've already done this, so we won't cover it. I did like Hardwired. That was this year, wasn't it? That was early this year.
No.
Was it not?
No. I did a whole Christmas. I did a whole Christmas special on Hardwired last year. Oh, you're here at the wrong Christmas. I did 5 hours.
Hold on, which Christmas are we recording for now?
yeah, I did 5 hours on Hardwired. Talking to all sorts of people about it, including my favourite, which was Jonathan from Shrapnel, who A, had never seen him live, and B, really likes St Anger. And I found that out about halfway through the interview, and I was like, oh God, this is so redundant now. And then I spoke to Nath from Shrapnel, who fucking loved them. And loved Hardwired.
Oh, great band, Shrapnel.
Yeah,
well, there you go. Maybe I need to talk about more recent history.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think a lot of this year has been about the more the up-and-coming bands like Bigfoot, who are a great rock band from up north. And it's the stuff that's come through that's really impressed me. It's just been some really great stuff. No, here we go. War Wound, punk band.
Ooh.
So punky, hardcore.
Oh, hang on.
Ian Glasper.
Ian Glasper, yes.
So ex Stamping Ground and ex everything else.
Yeah, and he sent me a tune, and I don't know what happened to it.
Well, I'll get you the album.
Oh yeah.
It's not what I normally listen to, and I think it's a kind of like prog got me. I've realised I'm a massive hardcore fan without knowing what hardcore is. Because I love bands like Hatebreed, just because for me it's just fucking riffy metal that just pounds and drives.
Yeah.
I don't care what the music is, but apparently hardcore is the kind of stuff I get into. But War Wound, that album's just insane, absolutely insane. It's so catchy, it's so fast, and it's short. The punchy tracks. But it's fucking brilliant. It's brutal.
Oh, wow.
It's really good. And that's definitely up there, top 3 for me.
You're listing off all the things I love.
Well, I think, as opposed to Von Herzen Brothers, I think you will love that War Wound.
If you can get me that in time, where there's room in the top 5.
I don't know when this is going out, and I'm not allowed to say this, but either way, I've booked them for Amplify Festival because they're just one of the most exciting bands.
Oh, are you not allowed to say that?
Well, we haven't announced any bands yet.
Oh, right, okay. Well, it's only my podcast. No one listens anyway, don't worry.
No, fuck it, it's my stage.
There's more people in this room than listen. I'm just going to pause this to go and get Andy his Guinness. Yeah, we've outlasted the twats in the other half of the pub as well.
They'll probably forget we're in here because we're in a remote corner now and get locked in overnight.
Yeah, worst lock-in ever. Locked in a part of the pub with no bar.
Yeah.
It's horrendous.
But yeah, I think that's probably exhausted my memories of this year's music right now, even though I've got a very big list of great stuff.
Yeah. It's been a funny old year. I just keep coming back to Prong. I just another great album. No absolutes from the previous album, and I thought, I've always felt with Prong that they do a cracking album, and then there's another one that goes off in a different direction and is not quite as good. Then another cracker, and then the same happens again, but two like monsters. And for the life of me, I'm sat here bullshitting, trying to remember the title. and I can't. I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to look it up on my phone. I'll tell you what I did love, and I know this is this year because I had a row with someone about it still being in my top 10 by the end of the year. He insisted it wouldn't be, and it is. It's Sepultura. I thought that album was fantastic. Which album's that? Zero Days by Prong.
I can't remember the title of Sepultura actually, but I just put it on and listened to it. But it's amazing. Oh. It's inventive and it's creative and it's just sounds fantastic.
Well, I one of the other albums I've just noticed that's going to probably be in my top 5 would be Prophets of Rage.
Not a band I've given enough time to. Everybody talks about it. No,
same here.
I need to.
And you know what? I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, I need to be playing that more. It's great. It's got some, it's not going to change the world, literally. Sorry, Tom. But there's some great stuff on it, and also the new Propaganda album, which has taken me a few listens to get into.
No, that's fantastic.
Victory Lap. Yeah,
amazing,
absolutely.
And I do like Havoc.
Oh right,
to the thrash.
Yeah, I just kind of, I don't know.
But it's thrash with sort of an inventiveness behind it. There's a lot of really sort of experimental bass and stuff that reminds me of Suicidal Tendencies. Suicidal Tendencies, there you go. That album, outstanding.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know, this is how far out of love I've fallen with Suicidal. I haven't even heard it.
It's good. Give it a go. I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
Again, it's got that sort of that punky energy, that vibe to it. Yeah, it's very strong, and live they're just fucking amazing. It's one of my best gigs this year.
Were you ever into Fishbone?
Not really, no.
Right, okay.
But not. I couldn't say I wasn't. I just don't know them well enough.
Right, yeah. No, I was always a big fan, and I watched a documentary on YouTube the other day, and it's great. It's a whole documentary. The whole thing's free. Watch it on YouTube, called Everyday Sunshine, which is a name of one of their tracks, one of their better known tracks, and it's just the story of the band, and it's just fucking brilliant. And they're just a really, really vastly underrated band. It's like there's all of these. It's one of these bands where if they were as famous as half the people on the documentary saying Fishbone are incredible, nobody knows why they never, why they never hit it big. They're just one of those bands.
That's the current thing for me is music documentaries. I mean, I can't get enough of it. They're just hearing these amazing stories about bands you didn't know about.
Oh well, in that case, I've got one for you, and I might have to lend it to you because I don't think you'll be able to track it down online. Well, you might do, but you might have to pay. Filmage, the story of the Descendants.
No.
Oh, no. Mate. I'm not going to say anything about it. But, when you've got Dave Grohl sat there saying he learned how to play drums by playing along to Descendants records.
Awesome.
And there's really funny animation in it as well. There's some genuine big laughs. There's some absolutely heart-wrenching moments where Bill Stevenson, the genius behind the band, is asked by the filmmakers to talk about his dad, and he just I don't want to talk about my dad, and you can hear the emotion in the voice. It's really, really. And he wrote a song after his father died, and it contains one of the greatest lyrics ever. He had a very difficult relationship with his father. His father never thought nothing he ever did was good enough for him. And he looked after his father for 2 years as he died. And towards the end, he was literally having to carry him to the toilet.
Christ.
And the song that he wrote in memorial to his father contains the lyric, "I'd pick you up, you'd put me down." And I just thought, that is just amazing.
Insane.
But he also tells a story. Sorry, I'm going to ruin it for you and anybody listening. He also tells a story about there's a great Descendants song called Clean Sheets, again including brilliant lyrics like "Clean sheets mean a lot to a guy who sleeps on the floor." He tells a story of he woke up in the morning with the melody and the lyrics like done. He woke up with the complete song, just like, oh, that's Clean Sheets then. And that is a really, and talk about seeing a band go through, start out from humble beginnings and just play everywhere, and again, one of those bands that should be much bigger than they are, but they are actually kind of pretty well renowned now.
Well, when you can hear those backstories, it makes a massive difference. It's like the one that captured my imagination was Twisted Sister, because they're playing Bloodstock and everybody was telling me how.
And it finishes when they get signed.
Yeah. So, but I knew nothing, literally nothing. So we watched. My wife and I watched the documentary before we saw them live. Just thought we'd catch up, just thought get some information. Didn't realise how bloody amazing that documentary is.
A fan of the Sister. Back in the day, went to see them on the Come Out and Play tour. Still, within the top 5 best gigs I've ever been to.
Well, the Bloodstock gig I saw it might even be the best ever gig I've seen.
Well, Dee Snider, I think it doesn't get. Well, I saw somebody comment in a Bloodstock forum that said, "Bands of the weekend for me. I can't split it Twisted Sister and Acid Rain, and I was just like, I was just giddy, because that was just wow. I mean, Dee Schneider did a podcast for about 6 months, and I've listened to every one of those. I mean, you know, I just a fantastic voice. I mean, I'm always shocked when people sort of, because there is a school of thought, quite a few metal fans consider them to be a bit of a one-hit wonder, you know, which always amazes me.
If you see them live, I mean, that's the thing. Me and Sarah just stood there open mouthed to go, what the hell?
But it's hit after hit. Yeah. You know, you know, Stay Hungry, it went platinum, and it's got the hits, and it's just, what a band. And the where it ends, funnily enough, I was going to mention this to you earlier. You know, you were saying about little thing, you know, you get things on TV and you go, oh wow, you know, a metal band. I remember I was introduced to Twisted Sister watching them on the Tube.
Yeah. I remember that, yeah.
You know, that was like, wow, who are these guys? This is interesting. I absolutely loved them.
But that brings me back to what we were talking about earlier, and just how good Bloodstock is. It's just like the vision and the determination to make that their last UK gig. You know, for Vicky to go out and just fight to get that, to bring them back in, was just amazing. Because, like I say, I didn't know who they were. Me and Sarah, my wife, were just in tears, literally just crying about how fucking amazing that was.
Yeah.
You know, and it really, I'll never ever forget that. We were with friends, my best friends, who loved them, who just were the same. It's like, well, this just shows what music is. And Twisted Sister aren't a Bloodstock band. They're not.
No, not at all.
But that's the beauty of Bloodstock, is willing to change and develop, but they know what to do. You know, they know what bands to bring in just to make a great show. And I'll never forget that. It's just one of the best things I've ever seen live.
Well, it was one of the worst. You know, one of, if not the worst thing about playing Bloodstock on the Saturday was that I wasn't able to see Twisted Sister on the Friday. Yeah. And I heard Dee Schneider being interviewed by Jamie Jaster on his podcast, and you know they're doing an album together now.
Yeah.
And Jaster's, but it actually comes up during the interview. They actually Jamie pitches it, and then he's like, right, yeah, fine. When are we doing this then? and you know, typically two guys who don't just talk, they get shit done. You know, those two. And
you ever spoken to Jamie?
No.
Such a good guy.
But I'd love to. I've badgered him on Twitter a couple of times, but he's got way too many followers to notice. You know, somebody.
Well, you say that though. But
hang on.
Go on.
There was one thing I wanted to finish on. In the podcast interview with Jamie Jaster, Dee Schneider mentions Bloodstock and what an amazing festival it is, and what a wonderful experience.
Cool. Very cool.
It's right, and like Jamie Jaster's going, oh yeah, man, yeah, no, it's really cool. But like Dee Schneider's, you know, full on saying, yeah, that was awesome.
The reason I kind of latched on to Jamie was just because, and I don't know whether we mentioned it the last time you interviewed me, but when I did my charity shows, they had Bangers Balls shows. We were going to play. We booked a gig in Newcastle with 4 bands at World HQ, which wasn't a metal venue. It was a very sort of grassroots level supportive venue. And it looked like it was going to be amazing with some good local bands, but it looked like it was going to be a really great gig in a great venue. And Hatebreed announced they were playing same weekend, right near the end.
Oh.
And just murdered it for me. Just absolutely murdered it. It's like, well, this is gonna. There's no point doing it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't just doing it, you know, for money. As much as it was for charity, it was about the bands as well. And on the off chance, I just emailed their tour manager and said, look, we're doing this. You've just killed it. You didn't know, but do you think, you know, we could hook up? Have you got support bands yet? He came back saying, let me speak to Jamie. Came back a long time after saying, we can do something. Like, well, what the fuck do you mean? What can we do?
Yeah.
And Headbangers Balls, well, 3 of the 4 bands, I had to relocate and I done another gig, which was tough. Was supporting Hatebreed.
That's awesome.
Which was a sold-out show.
Where? Where was it?
It was in one of the O2, whatever Newcastle O2 was, and it could have sold out a lot more. You know, it was a crazy gig. So we had a kind of mismatch supporting it. But we had 3 bands. I supported them. We had all our banners up, and we were. It was like we were the co-headliner the way they let us do the posters. It was Hatebreed and Headbangers Balls, but they totally let us go with it. You know,
that's brilliant.
And it was just above and beyond anything I'd done or been able to achieve through what I was doing. But it was down to him. You know, the manager was great, you know, for putting me in contact. But he made the decision, Jamie made the decision. And I met him on the night and he's like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't I? Yeah, for me, but it's like, for me as a human, it's like, well, of course not. I would too. But I'm not in that position.
Yeah,
when you're in that position, how would you act?
And also, it's like that's a very cool thing to say, but unfortunately, it's also a rarity.
Yeah, but then you get to know Jamie, and you see what he does and what he says and how he acts, and that's just the dude he is, and he is a fucking legend. He's a really good guy. You know, he's approachable and he cares and he's interested. Yeah, I think that's the thing. He's interested in what goes on around him. He's a good front man too. You know, he's a great front man, but very cool.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you should say that because I found that with Danny Filth as well. Really nice guy. Really enjoyed talking to him.
Well, you and I have discussed this, haven't we? You know, and it I think I had preconceptions about him, which I think were very, very unfair, grossly unfair.
Yes.
I think, and they were from other people. I don't think I'd ever made my own mind up.
Well, I think also if you're a certain age and you remember Cradle of Filth coming up and on the way up or whatever, I think you probably think that he is somebody he's not. And you know, speaking as somebody who just met an absolute heavy metal legend who didn't turn out to be everybody's mate.
Thanks very much.
And the cheeky chappy that he makes out, and is actually a right cunt.
Yeah.
And you really wouldn't know it from all of the, like, you know, the image is the exact opposite of what they're actually like. And funnily enough, again, here I am, you know, 47 years old, thinking, what's with the preconceptions, Howard, you idiot? Do you know what I mean? You should have learned by now. You should know by now.
It's funny, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, for the benefit of anyone interested who's listening, I think my preconceptions were just around what other people said, but I saw Danny at Bloodstock just backstage in the VIP area, just chilling out, meeting fans, having a good time. Anyone who approached him for a photo or for just a chat, as much as he was drunk, he was absolutely obliging. And it's like, well, there's nothing more you can ask of someone to do that. And it's like, well, according to everything I was told, he wouldn't have done that. Yeah, I was wrong. You know, he just seems a nice guy. I didn't speak to him.
Well, it was like the tale that I was told by a promoter about the headline band that he was dealing with, and the singer is a well-known kind of mouthpiece and is not backwards at coming forwards. You know, he'd fit in right nicely in a chair with us right now, and he turned out to be pretty much absolutely on the level, really decent bloke to deal with, and it was the rest of the bands and their girlfriends, the rest of the band and the girlfriends that were the problem, you know. Yeah. And
I remember I was there at the time as this was developing. I was there.
Really?
Yeah, I was in it. Well, I was sponsor of the event.
This is really annoying because I know you don't know. We can't really say.
He mouthed the band to me, therefore I know who it is, and now we can talk about it, but we can't. But I was there at the time as this was developing and hearing the story and hearing the potential problems, and it sounded like we were dealing with the biggest bunch of prima donna arseholes ever, only to find out later that it was the Wags, wasn't it?
which is
insane.
Well, I love it. I was being told the story, and the singer says, "Don't fucking listen to them." He goes, "Their girlfriends think they're going out with a couple of rock stars. It's got nothing to do with them. Don't listen to them. The hotel's fine." It's just like, especially having heard the guy interviewed as well, and all the rest of it, he's like, he really, he's got his opinions, and you ain't gonna talk him round. And he's, I thought I was quite forthright, and then hearing that story, it's like, well, why should somebody who is, very forthright, blunt, and opinionated also be a twat? Why would that? And they think, oh, good Lord, I must be known as a right twat. I must have a dreadful reputation. Because that's pretty much me. But it was a really, really nice story to hear that, he was a.
He saved it anyway. He took it around.
Yeah. So would you ever get involved in booking again?
Well, I am in it to an extent. But
actually, you are. Yes, I apologise.
My reluctance with the festival, but that's just out of duty to a friend. But
and the festival being amplified, of course.
Amplified, yeah.
Was that not your highlight of the year?
No, it was horrendous. The stress when it's on you, when everything falls on you.
Absolutely.
And then when the weather turns against you, as much as we created some unique memories. I don't enjoy booking at all. Not at all.
Well, you said you did say the word everything was on you, and I'm really surprised that you didn't go the extra mile and make sure it didn't rain that day.
Well, everything's on me.
Schoolboy error.
There were people running around doing 100 times more than me. It wasn't actually on me, but it felt, for me, the way I am, the anxiety.
Of course. Well,
it feels like it's.
Stage has got your company name on.
We
booked everybody. Yourself.
We were driving around the Friday. We couldn't be there because we were trying to buy a house. The house you and I have discussed tonight, away from the recording, it still hasn't resolved itself, but that's where we were that night, and I was watching Facebook and seeing the weather destroy everything, and just stressing out and panicking, worrying about how bands were feeling and how fans were, and it's not worth it for me. I mean, it's not the stress of having to manage those situations is not worth it for me.
I remember the message you sent me on Saturday morning. The night after. The morning after, and you said, your message was, "I love you just a little bit more this morning." That makes
sense. The relief.
It was a really sweet message because we had an absolute blast.
It was that was a massive relief to see people conquering the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's the old Dunkirk spirit.
But we came out of that festival with some ridiculously stalwart supporters. I mean, people who were just straight back, and some ridiculously determined to give you a hard time about it. Oh yeah, of course.
Which I only somebody made me aware of it, and I can't remember who. But somebody was saying that there was one particular stallholder.
Yeah, there was
making a lot of negative noise for you.
Yeah, I mean it's public knowledge enough, but to talk about. But there was a.
Yeah, but we just don't want to give them the publicity.
Well, no, it'll be bad, so it's fine. She's horrible. She was given the. She used to run a pub in Cheltenham, and she was given an opportunity to get involved in the festival, and she came out of it thinking that everything was against her. She just decided to try and blame the weather, blame every situation. The fact that the main stage, needed a generator she was using as the tiny third stage, she thought that was unfair. Whereas, people were just doing what they needed to do, and she decided to go public with some very, very negative feedback. And I certainly got involved in trying to manage that, but it died down because thankfully so many people had a really, really positive experience despite the terrible weather. But mostly because of the bands and the band's attitudes.
But I also think there's a certain part of that is the reason it doesn't get traction is that as punters, when you've paid money to go to this, and you've suffered, and you've got to kip in a tent, and you haven't seen some bands that you wanted to see because they haven't been able to play because, etc., etc. When you see somebody who was there to make money, essentially at work, trying to make out like they're as much a victim, I think your average punter goes, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Sorry, but you had a bad day at work. Boo for you.
Yeah.
Well, it's always was a wave of people.
We've driven from here, we've driven from there, we've spent money on this.
We saw the internet at work. We saw the way the internet works. If someone promotes negativity, people will jump on board and join in that. People who were there or not were happy to leave bad feedback.
Yeah.
And the fact is, we were a new festival and we were willing to take all feedback as long as it was constructive. But some people were just out, going for it.
Yeah.
But before we needed to worry, there were so many people who were being positive. We've seen it this year. We're booking, big bands this year with big booking agencies who've actually turned around and said, but we did hear a little bit of concern about last year and the weather and how you dealt with that. And that's been, before we got a chance to comment, it's been negated by people they know. Other people who work for them say, no, I was there, or I heard, and this was brilliant. Don't worry about it. And, people have stepped in and just done the job for us. Just said, no, we know that this festival is young, but doing the right thing, and we're doing it.
Well, also that to a certain extent as well, it's kind of like, well, we're going to be running again this year, and last year was possibly, let's say, the worst thing that could have possibly happened. And not just, it was the weather, it was the staff not turning up, it was the generators being dumped outside, and stuff like that. Everything that could go wrong went wrong, and you know what? We still ran, people still had a good time. So essentially,
none of those things can happen.
Yeah. Essentially, you don't need to worry unless you're booking a band for last year.
Yeah,
it's done. Because also, as a first festival, if you guys weren't serious, that experience is enough for anybody to just walk away. I mean, absolutely.
I would have.
Nobody. I
wanted to.
Well, nobody in their right mind, if they were, would have that experience and go, "Hey, should we do this again next year?"
No, but we've got
they were absolutely committed.
We've got 66 spots and 60 are booked now. All my stage booked, and I've got the best of the UK. And beyond emergency.
Well, happy to come down and do some MCing for you.
But just whatever you do, come down. That'd be great. But back to the point.
Was that a no? Don't worry, I'm well versed.
As I say, I don't like giving people jobs. I don't want anyone to be disappointed. Might not work. But I hate it. I absolutely hate being involved in anything that can end up being negative. I just don't like it. I just try and create situations myself where I can manage risk, and booking doesn't work for me.
Well, especially when you're self-employed, as well, as we've both spoken about, as we're both self-employed. It's like you're constantly the master of your own destiny, and you're constantly free to just turn stuff down because you can see there are problems down the road with that. No, you're all right, thanks.
That's the only reason I got into it is because it was charity to start with. So there's a greater purpose than my desire to hide in a corner and not do anything. You know what I mean? And now it's the fact that it's my best friend who I'm working with, and I really want to. If I've got a skill that he could use, then I've got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a lovely place to tie it off. That's 90 minutes, mate, believe it or not.
Jesus.
I know. As if anyone's still listening.
And the funny thing is being sat in a pub, anyone who listens to us think we're having the fucking weirdest conversation in the world.
Yeah. Well, I hope not. I hope not. Because that means people listening to this will go, that sounds a bit weird.
Yeah, but at least they understand we're recording it.
Yeah, true. But Andy, as a pleasure. We'll continue to. Are you good for another drink?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Well, pleasure having you on. Yep, the two of us can talk for England, covering every subject you can imagine there. And it's a real shame that Andy's moved away. I mean, I'm pleased for him because it's a move that's going to benefit his children, it's going to benefit him, it's going to benefit his wife. I mean, you know, it's all good. In fact, the only person who loses out is me. So, you know, that really doesn't really come into the equation. No, my dear, we can't move house for the sake of our children. We can't move house to improve our lifestyle. No, because Howard lives nearby at the moment. Yeah, not really happening, is it? But I'll miss my old mate Andy. We've had some really, really good times down the pub. We've covered every subject you can imagine, from politics to female-fronted bands to the UK scene to just absolutely anything you can imagine. And we don't, as I said earlier, we don't always agree. But when we disagree, we disagree passionately and try and see each other's point of view. And it's a rare commodity, a very rare commodity. So that's Andy of Very Metal Art, he of the amazing lyric videos and artwork, and just, you know, if you Very Metal Art is worth tracking down on Facebook, verymetalart.co.uk. Just some great stuff, and if you're in a band, he is a man that can make your band look amazing. So definitely worth getting in touch. And from one a guy who I could talk to forever, who's a good friend to a guy who is another person that I could talk to forever, and who I have known for, God, I was thinking the other day, I think it's about, well, since before I've known him 30 years. I have known Malcolm Dome for 30 years. It's always good to meet up with him. He's kind of like an annual guest now. He was on last Christmas for the Hardwired special, and he's on this one. And Metallica obviously get a mention. We almost everything keeps coming back to Metallica with Malcolm and I. We met up in our usual haunt, which is a private members club down in central London, just off Oxford Street, and had this really cool chat. And yeah, I hope you all enjoy it. And again, as I always say that, and then I sort of follow up and say, well, I can't fucking help it if you don't. But I know a lot of you like hearing from Malcolm, because he is a man who is, you know, who's interviewed some of the legends. He's been there, done it, seen it all. So here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the final interview of the Christmas podcast. This is Malcolm Dome. So how things have changed. Here we are yet again for our annual catch-up. How things have changed. It used to be I'd bring in like all sorts of bits of mics and stuff like that.
Yes, you're right.
And now it's just a phone.
Yes.
You know?
Militarised.
Yeah. It's
technology moves on.
It's just so much easier. It's so much easier than bringing all sorts of bits and pieces. It's a lot easier when you remember to charge your phone. So
I'm sure it is.
But so you were saying you're really busy.
Yes, very, very hectic in all sorts of different areas, which is great. It's what you want, really.
Yes.
Sometimes you think, oh my God, can you just slow down for a second? But then you think, no. Actually, I really quite like this.
Yeah.
Because there's so much going on back to back to back, and you just have to choose which thing to do when.
Yeah, and presumably as well. Well, you know, I know as you know, being self-employed, it's you got to make hay while the sun shines.
Yes, absolutely, because you never know when the sun's going to suddenly disappear behind a cloud.
Yeah,
or something of that nature. But at the moment, the sun seems to be shining, which I'm not actually complaining about.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, and presumably that's why we had to move from yesterday to today as well.
Yes, that's exactly it.
The nature of the freelancer. The
nature of the beast is things come up at the last minute, and sometimes you say yes, sometimes you say no, and sometimes you want to say no, but really feel you have to say yes.
Well, the thing is, as well, is you only have to say no once, and you know, you can say yes 10 times in a row.
Yes.
You say no, and they go somewhere else.
Yes.
And then next time they forget about you. They go back to the person they did last time.
Yeah, that's also a danger. You're absolutely right. Although paranoia can take over with anything to some extent, where you feel that could happen. But that, again, that's the nature of the situation you're in.
Yeah.
The checks and balances.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Yeah, but although you have a name that if people want something by Malcolm Dome, they are.
Silly gifts.
No, I think you know, don't be modest now. If they want something for you to do, then they're going to have to fit into your schedule.
Well, to some extent, yes. Obviously, there is a little leeway sometimes. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes you literally have a situation, can you do an interview at 6:30 tomorrow evening? I'm sorry, we can't move it. Which is fair enough, depending on who you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it depends who, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. And some people are flexible enough to move things around, other people aren't.
So what's the majority of your work at the moment?
Probably a combination of magazine and sleeve notes. Lots of different sleeve notes and loads of reissues, because reissues is such a big market.
Yes.
And almost every reissue these days has a new essay about the album and the way it was made, including, hopefully, you think, an interview or interviews with the relevant people.
Yeah.
And that takes up a lot of time. And also magazines, Classic Rock, Prog, Metal Hammer, and Rock Candy, which is new on the market, of course.
Yes, of course. Yes. Now, in November, my remaster purchase was Master of Puppets.
Yes.
This month, my remaster purchase has been the entire Holy Terror catalogue, which was incredible. It's a 5-disc set, 4 CDs and a DVD for £15.
Not bad.
I mean, really.
That's value for money.
And it sounds great. The live stuff hasn't been taken from dodgy old tapes. It sounds wonderful. I mean, yeah, I was just over the moon with that. So I'm sort of rediscovering that catalogue at the moment.
This is a great thing to do.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. Funnily enough, I have a Polish neighbour who we drop USB sticks through each other's letterbox with stuff on. He lives directly opposite. We just and I dinked the remaster of Master of Puppets and the Holy Terror stuff into his room. One album, Mind Wars, the Holy Terror. And I saw him yesterday. I said, "What do you think?" He goes, it's a bit too heavy metal-y for me." But he said, "But it was okay." And I said, "Well, it's from 1988."
Yeah,
and he was like, "What?"
Yeah, 30 years.
He couldn't believe it. It was absolutely just jaw on the floor. Couldn't believe it. And all have, funnily enough, all that has copious sleeve notes. When they're not done by a band member, presumably it's you tend to do the bigger artists.
Well, of course, you also got to remember you're talking about reissues from the 80s and the 70s. Can the artists really remember that much detail about it these days?
Yeah,
some do, and a lot are sort of. I'll give you an example. I'm writing the sleeve notes for. Well, you can't even call it the reissue. It's the first time that the John Cotton Diesel album was coming out. It was recorded at the beginning of the 90s and never got released.
Right.
But I talked to John a couple of days ago about, what made you, because they did record it in Sweden, so what made you do it there? So, I don't remember. That sort of thing happened.
Brilliant.
Which is understandable, because you're talking about albums recorded decades ago, so why the hell should everyone remember every single detail of what went on?
Yeah.
This is a particular reason for them to recall it. It sticks in the mind.
But that almost becomes investigative journalism, because presumably then you are then tasked with, right, can I find somebody who does remember why this happened?
Of course, yes, absolutely. And eventually, I mean, that's a mundane thing. It ended up as a Swedish label who wanted to release the album. That's why they recorded it in Sweden.
Makes
very
sense.
Straightforward.
Yeah,
it wasn't any mystery particularly, but that's the point. And that's when musicians do autobiographies, I get very sceptical about how good is your memory about those days. Really?
Yeah. Well, it's funny you're going to say that, because I was just about to say the memory can play tricks on you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, one trick is you can't remember.
Another trick is you don't want to remember, or you remember things in a certain way, even though it's not the truth. That's the way you choose to remember it.
Yeah, but you can also get memories mixed up. You think that so and so happened at that time, and that was on a different tour.
Yeah,
yes, it was the same country, but it was a different tour, and
I don't know if you read Pete Wade's autobiography, which came out about 2 or 3 months ago, which is a really great read. But one of the things that, and I assume it was the guy who wrote it with him rather than Pete himself did, was to get other people who were around at the time of certain stories to give their version.
Yeah.
Which made it interesting at certain points, because you actually do have Michael Schenker or Eddie Clark talking about particular moments that Pete recalls in a certain way and they recall in a different way. So you actually got the variations in the book.
Now that I'm interested in, because as soon as you said if you've read so and I've read a few, and I just get tired of lots of fun, lots of drugs, lots of fun, lots of drugs. Yeah, stop all that. Nearly died, got clean. Here we go. I mean, the classic example would be Head, the guitarist from Korn, whose book is entitled "How I Left Korn, Quit Drugs, and Found God." And my review of that book is: it is a great read until he leaves Korn, quits drugs, and finds God. and the clue's in the title. You may as well just chuck it in the bin.
Exactly.
The minute the fun starts.
I thought Sebastian Bach's book was boring, dull, waste of time. Yes, she took loads of drugs. Yes, she shagged loads of women. So what?
Yeah.
After chapter 3, when he goes on, yes, I took a lot more drugs, and yes, I shagged a lot more women. It's boring. Have you got anything else of interest to say? Why didn't you talk about things such as your confrontation with John Bon Jovi, what really happened? The sort of stuff that people would like to read about, rather than talking about things that are boring.
And it's the autobiography, that kind of autobiography. What annoys me about that is, like, it's self-serving.
Yes.
It's just grandiose ego.
Oh yeah.
On the rampage.
Absolutely.
And that's where an editor needs to come in as well and say, look, you know, but just reading all this is not particularly interesting, you know.
It just became a chore to finish it. David D. Roth's book was as bad. That was going back quite a while now, because it was just a moan. He was moaning all the time. Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
And Slash's book was dull and boring and lifeless. The most astonishing thing was Eric Clapton's, which you would have thought, given everything he's been through, could be an unbelievable read.
Yeah.
It came across as matter of fact and a bit dull.
Well, I have to say, 2 autobiographies spring to mind. 4 actually. Max's book is good. John McIver did a good job on that. I enjoyed Scott Ian's book. I enjoyed Dave Mustaine's book. You know, at least he's got something to say.
Yeah, oh yeah, Mustaine.
And he'll stick by it.
Yeah,
you know, whether or not he's got both feet in his mouth at the same time or not, you know, it's so, I mean, you know, some of Mustaine's interviews, some of his it's car crash stuff. Do you know what I mean? You're reading it and you're just thinking, I shouldn't be reading this. Yeah. You can't not.
Yeah, absolutely true.
But I found, I must admit, and I you know, I'll be hauled over the coals, but Lemmy's autobiography I found just just self-serving. I really didn't. I just found, like, you know, I come off stage and I want to be in the arms of a good woman within 15 minutes and out the venue within 20 minutes, and it was just kind of like, right, I thought this was going to be interesting, but it's just a long exercise in, you know, I went to the doctors and he said, don't stop taking speed, you'll die. No, he didn't say that. You know.
Yeah, well, this is where you drift into that blurred line between reality and myth.
And it seemed to be there to just complement the legend and have nothing to do with reality.
The legend becomes fact. The legend, yes, we all know about that. But I think if you're going to write an autobiography, it's got to be more than just augment the legend.
Yes.
Bruce Dickinson's book's very good.
Ah, right, okay, well, yes, had a run-in with Bruce recently.
Recently?
Yes.
Oh, pray tell.
Apologies everyone on the podcast, I said I wouldn't say who it was. I met him in a pub, and he... I didn't know. I thought, what should I do? Should I go over? And I thought, look, just go over, say hello, be respectful. Went over. I said, hi, Bruce. He was on his own at a table with a beer. I just went, hi, Bruce. Just wanted to say, you know, loved your music all my life. Singing about myself and big influence. You know, thanks for the music. And just stared at me, stared right through me, just made me feel uncomfortable. Didn't say a word, not a word, just sat there staring at me, to the point where I was uncomfortable and I was a little bit lost for words, which I never am. No, you're not. So I kind of went, are you from around here? Do you live locally? Why are you asking that? What do you want to know that for? I said, right, okay, you clearly want to be left alone. Yeah. I'll leave you to it. Yes, you do that. And it was a thoroughly uncomfortable, horrible experience.
Now I'm going to look at the other side, because I can see what you're saying, but you can imagine for someone, Bruce or whoever, being in a private situation, there's suddenly got a total stranger coming in, wanting to start a conversation. And I think, had he actually sort of started off there, if someone said, I love what you do, you've been a huge influence, say thank you.
Yes.
Very nice of you. Thank you. Nice to meet you. And make it almost obvious, goodbye.
Well, the thing is,
not fair to look,
but with that, in that scenario, he could have got rid of me quicker just by saying, thank you very much.
Yes.
That's lovely to hear.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be rude, but I
Yes.
just want to sit here with a beer. I've had a hard day. And I would have said,
no, you're right.
Not
You're
a problem,
right.
Bruce.
You're right.
See you later.
But it always astonishes me that people who are total strangers to someone else feel the need to go out and interrupt them in a private situation. Yeah. and I'm not having a go at you.
No, I know. Let's take this outside, Malcolm.
Which is, happens that you're in a private situation and someone will come up and wants to have a photo taken with you, wants to have an autograph, wants to have a chat, and you think, it's not in public, but I suppose the other way of looking at it is, if you're a public figure, such as Bruce,
There you go.
you have to expect it. I'm sure Bruce has had it happen to him a lot. Now, it could be you were the 13th person to do it on that night out when he went to the quiet bit in his local. And he just got sick and tired of it. So I've had enough of this. I just want to sit here quietly with the beer and have no one disturb me.
And my response to that is, comes with the territory.
Yeah, and there is that as well. It's exciting looking at it. You're right.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, that's. But to that end, no interest in that book at all.
No,
because I'm maybe when I've mellowed after the experience a little bit, I might pick it up on paper.
It must be
but right
difficult.
now,
So I do remember this is going back about 30 years, someone who worked on the periphery of Kerrang at the time, and she was a complete Robert Plant fan. And she met Plant in a situation and said, I just wanted to say I love you, I've always been in love with you. And he just looked at her, you and a million other women, darling. And you think, that's a horrible thing to say. But it depends on the situation where maybe he's just got sick and tired of hearing it, and all these people are saying these stupid things to him. However, there is the other thing about, just be polite and say, very nice of you to say so.
and there's no need to crush someone's dreams.
No,
There's no need
I agree with you, and I think that there is definitely a big point in saying, just be polite to someone and say thank you.
The thing is, exactly, you can be polite and get rid of people in 1 minute.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because if somebody is that impressed, is that willing to tell you something like that, then you have all the power. You can make this last 30 seconds or 30 minutes. It's up to you. And to misuse that power by just being rude is
you're right.
And somebody that deep into their career, but then again, they're still a human. Honestly, we could. Anyway, the last time we met, of course, was this time last year, where we were talking about Hardwired.
That's right.
Which hasn't improved with time.
I agree with you. It hasn't.
No, not at all.
I'm disappointed in it, I have to say. Good luck to them. I'm pleased that Metallica are out there. I'm breaking records.
Yeah, the
I
O2.
see them at the O2.
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't, but I did.
Oh, really? Everybody was raving about it.
Visually stunning. A visually stunning set. But no rapport between the band members because they're in the round. And it's sort of like Lars's antics of jumping up and down, which used to be mildly amusing and now very annoying.
Yes.
Very annoying. What summed it up for me was they had cues of the stage showing different images, and Robert Trujillo's bass solo was anesthesia pulling teeth. Cliff Burton's bass solo, which is fair enough, and had images of Cliff on the cues. It came across as fake.
Right.
Rather than the emotional moment it should have been. It just looked like it was cold and
a bit calculated.
And calculated. James Hetfield talks to the audience like a politician trying to get elected, talking to would-be voters.
Wow.
At one point, he picked out a woman in the crowd who was pregnant and dedicated a song to her unborn child. And that's embarrassing. That's totally and utterly embarrassing. And I'm sorry, but they played the old stuff as if they didn't care about it. Shrug of the shoulders. New stuff didn't come across any better than it did on record for me.
Right.
Of course, they broke the house record at the O2 2 nights running. Over 22,000, and they're packing everywhere. So clearly, I'm in the minority, and fair enough. They went down an absolute storm.
Yeah.
But for me, I never want to see them again. Sorry, it's not what it. I know it can't be what it was. How can it be? But somehow they've lost something.
Yeah.
Lost something I feel is important and crucial.
Yeah.
And that was my take on it. But you can't argue with the fact that they're packing in arenas and stadium everywhere, and they're huge.
Yeah.
What do you think of it? Did you go to see it?
Do you know what? I thought I would have gone if I'd liked Hardwired even a little bit more than I do. But I thought, I know what's going to happen. I mean, I've seen them play those songs umpteen times, and they're going to play the new stuff, and I'm going to be bored. And I thought, I'm not paying £100 to go and be bored with the new stuff and see the old stuff played again, and worse, because Lars, let's face it, is getting worse. It's not getting better. Lack of practice equals you get worse.
Well, there was one point, and I can't remember the song, when Lars started it off, and James stopped it and just said to everyone, not just Lars, can you make your mind up what time we're doing it in?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose at least that's moved on from just turning around and spitting on him.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's, funnily enough, 3-disc version of the Master of Puppets remaster. Breaks your heart to hear how good Lars is on those demos, there and on live stuff. It just breaks your heart, because you think, well, see, you can do it, You can listen to all of your peers from those days. They're still doing it. And you can convince yourself as much as you like that, you've discovered groove and all of that is more important. But do you know what? What's really important? As Hetfield pointed out, being in time.
Yes. Absolutely. And the other thing, you mentioned the ticket price, £100. A lot of Metallica fans, quite understandably, moaned about the ticket price. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then paid it. My argument is, okay, people eventually paid it, but they probably said, right, I'm paying £100 for a Metallica show. That means I can't go to this one or that one. So Metallica probably had a spin-off of affecting other bands.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah. Well, if you think a fairly sort of average price for a ticket is, say, £35. Well, that's 3 shows at £35.
Yep.
So that's, 1 gig instead of 3.
Well, Maiden charged, £60?
Right.
Something like that.
For, with a massive stage show.
And you're talking about massive stage show at the O2. Metallica charging £100. Okay, massive stage show and at the O2. But I'm sorry. To me, that was outrageous.
Yeah.
Well, I just think Metallica have to think very carefully about the way they sort of pitch the ticket price. The problem is, of course, they packed everywhere at those prices, even though their fans were moaning. It comes back down to the fact it's always in the hands of the fans. And the fans say, no, we're not going. And Metallica suddenly was struggling to sell tickets. You want to say prices for. But of course, they sold out. Yeah, I don't doubt that will become the norm. Probably be next time they tour, maybe 2018, 2019, they're looking at £130.
Funnily enough, I wonder, and I think we sort of touched on this when we spoke last, I wonder if Through the Never haven't been such a financial black hole, those tickets would have been 60 quid,
maybe you're right,
70 quid.
Yes,
they are having to, they've made one major business mistake in their entire career.
Yeah,
but like Metallica, but when they go big, they go big.
Oh yeah,
and they swung for the fences and completely missed.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And yeah.
But it still comes back to the fact fans could have easily said, I am not paying that.
Yeah.
I'm not going. And if enough people have done that and they were half full, I think Metallica would have got the message, yeah, we better really reconsider our entire pricing position. The fact that they packed the places and broke the house record at those prices, why should they drop them?
And of course what this comes back to is you and I knowing nothing and them being right.
Yeah, well, they are right.
Exactly, yeah.
People absolutely paid the price. I mean, you got ticket prices of Black Country Comedian at Hammersmith Apollo in January, 80 quid.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sorry, no disrespect, and I love Black Country Comedian. Joe Bonamassa could sell out Hammersmith Apollo Museum. Glenn Hughes, where would he play in London? Islington Assembly?
Maybe.
Jason Bonham, he'd have to be in the band fairly well. And similarly with Derek Sherinian. And they're charging that price?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's see whether or not they sell out. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, one thing I would love to get your take on is, funnily enough, you mentioned Islington Academy.
Well, it's an assembly hall, but
yeah. Well, the Islington Academy is going to be playing host to a certain Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah.
I suspect. Well, yeah, we're going to agree on this, aren't we?
It's not live. I think
it's a tragedy.
Appalling.
Well, the point I keep making is that a live, and then you talked about this about Metallica, a live show is the chemistry on stage, and then it's the chemistry. That chemistry creates a chemistry with the audience, and it becomes a two-way thing. Well, how do you have a chemistry on stage when one of the guys is dead?
You can't.
And also, one of Ronnie James Dio's great skills was he was great with people. He was great with audiences.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's all gone. And,
absolutely.
And I think just I can't believe Wendy Dio signed off on this.
I'm quite disappointed she has.
Yeah.
I really am. And I think this is just the end of the wedge. We have a Frank Zappa thing happening next year. Including people like Steve Vai, happy to play in the band with him, saying ridiculous things like, it'd be great to be back on stage with Frank again. You're not on stage with him. You're on stage with a screen. And you, of all people, having been on stage with Zappa, should understand and realise and appreciate being there with some image is not being on stage with him.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Dio. I'd like to think the Dio show at Islington Academy will be a huge flop.
Yeah, me too.
Somehow I doubt it, but I'd like to think that would happen. If you want to see an image of Ronnie James Dio, stay at home and watch the DVD. Or YouTube. Fine.
Yeah.
You're going to go along to see what? To see something that will not interact with you whatsoever. I know War of the Worlds do with Liam Neeson as a hologram, but that's different because it's theatrical production.
Yeah.
And he's playing a character, totally different thing.
Yeah.
But to me, it's not live.
Well, to me as well, it plays into it's playing into the entitled generation of that I deserve everything, and I never got a chance to see Ronnie Dio. So it's all very well for you people who saw him live. I never got a chance to. This is my chance. No, it isn't.
No, you're not seeing it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
And are we going to see Lemmy back on stage?
Yeah, I mean. And well, also
Bobby Scott will be fronting AC/DC again with Malcolm Young back on rhythm guitar.
Yeah, it's frightening.
It's a different era. It's certainly not live music, not at all.
No,
it's at the moment a freak show.
Well, I think
technological freak show.
Do you know what? That is exactly the phrase I used to describe it. It's like a Victorian travelling curiosity. Come and see the bearded lady. Come and see the man who's dead perform live.
Yeah.
It's not live music.
People who go along to it, well, it's not just Islington, because obviously there's a tour involved, takes in Europe. But people who go to the show should be aware you're not seeing Ronnie James Dio on stage. You're seeing a holographic projection of Ronnie live years ago. So you're not interacting. So when you cheer Ronnie, he'll have no interaction with you. He won't realise. It's just.
Well, I'm really interested because I'm on the mailing list of the PR company who's handling it, and I'm really tempted to send an email saying, "Will Ronnie be doing interviews?"
That would be funny.
I'd like to. Is there any chance of getting him on the podcast?
Yeah, great to see Ronnie. Yeah, sit down with Ronnie.
Yeah, absolutely. I've never had a chance to meet him before.
Yeah.
So this is my chance, right?
Yeah.
It's just.
I mean, When tribute acts have a place, and that's fine.
Oh, the Last in Line stuff and all that. That's great.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
But this is ridiculous. This is nonsensical. This is all the technology is there. We should use it. Really?
Yeah.
So, are we going to see Rainbow back with Ronnie Dio at Download soon?
Yeah. Well, funnily enough, the technology is there. Why don't we use it? Is the philosophy of North Korea at the moment.
Yes.
So I think that's pretty much proves that you shouldn't always use the technology.
What you wish for.
Yeah.
What you use.
He says, drawing a ridiculous comparison, but
totally different level. But I can see what you're saying. It's just not on.
So, let's take that as a low point of the year. When I'm kind of doing a highlights of the year thing, and by that, I don't mean the old album of the year rubbish. I mean, it could be any of the news stories and all sorts of stuff that's happened. What have been some highlights for
Rambling
this
Man
year?
was a great highlight, and Bloodstock. Those two were tremendous highlights.
Really, you are not the first person to say Bloodstock.
No, Bloodstock was great fun.
It's the metal festival, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is the metal festival. Although they've expanded it. I'm intrigued to see Mr. Bigger playing it next year.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Well, bearing in mind, the first time I played it was I played the second stage as doing my comedy. And Emperor were headlining the Saturday. Funnily enough, I went on stage about 5 minutes before they hit the stage to 50 people in a tent that held 2,000. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a great day at the office. But yeah, I mean, if you'd said to me then, or anybody there then, that Mr. Big will be playing the main stage in a few years, they would have been.
It's absolutely. I'm great, good for them, because I've had Europe do it before, and Twisted Sister both up front got people. What are they doing there? And by the end, of course, both band because they're so good at one everyone over.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know, well, I can die happy. I saw somebody put in the Bloodstock forum that year. So my two bands of the weekend were Twisted Sister and Acid Rain, and I thought, right, I'll take that. I'm quit now.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, it's not.
It can't get any better.
To be uttered in the same phrase as a legendary frontman like Dee Snider, you just think, well, I'm happy. I can die happy.
But there's been so many good things, so many great gigs. Young bands like London called Stags,
right?
Really worth seeing. I think they could do something.
What kind of stuff is it?
It's like Clutch meets Alice in Chains meets King's X.
Whoa!
Which is the way I describe them. I think they're really exciting.
Stags,
STAGS.
Right. Okay.
And a New York band called Temps,
TEMPT.
TEMPT.
Oh, right.
Van Halen meets Bon Jovi.
Probably won't be checking them out.
It's not really your thing.
No, but there's people who'll be listening to this who will think, right.
But there are so many good young bands around at the moment who deserve an opportunity to break through, and I think that's the most exciting thing, is we're not lacking in talent.
Well, and it's funny you should say that, because I mean, like it or not, we're both in the inverted commas old guard.
The ancient guard. Or something.
Yeah. All right, easy. Don't lump me into that. No. I'm just sat here talking about buying remasters of Metallica and remasters of Holy Terror, but somebody say, oh, you're on a bit of a retro trip at the moment. I consider it my job. So I'm always looking forwards. I'm always looking forwards. I want to know where the next big thing's coming from. I want to be blown away by the next band I've never heard of.
Yep.
That for me that's meat and drink. That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me plugged into music. Is not playing it's stuff that's 20 years old for the 200th time. It's the next stuff, and funnily enough, I hear, people say, oh, thrash isn't dead, and no,
thrash is not dead.
No, that was it. No, sorry, thrash never died. I still, all I play is the old stuff, and it's like, well, that's not, in my opinion, that's not something to be proud of. You're not contributing to keeping anything alive. There's no decent bands around now. Yeah, go looking.
Well, that's the problem. People expect it to come to them. And there is a slight problem in terms of there's so much music out there, people don't know where to look first, or to listen first. Whereas in the old days, there was a filtering system of the record labels, particularly, which allowed the bands to come through, and there was less choice, and therefore it was easier. Now you have to really go up and, oh God, I've got 20 albums, and what do I listen to? My God, I don't know where to listen first.
Absolutely.
It's too much.
Well, we're playing 3 dates at the end of this week, and let's go back 25 years, whatever, since our last tour. The first time round, we're going to go on tour. So we'll put an advert in Kerrang, we'll put an advert in Metal Hammer, we'll put an advert in Rock Sound, we'll put an advert in Metal Forces. Job done.
The crowds will turn up.
Yeah. Everyone knows that the metal scene knows that we're on the road.
Yes.
You know,
That's what you needed to do.
Yeah. And now we're on the right. We're going to go on the road. Right. Okay. Where do we put this?
Yeah.
You know, and you'll still get people saying. I mean, I got a message on our Instagram. Oh, you know, I didn't know you guys were playing. So well, we've been posting for 6 months about this.
What part of we put it online didn't you understand?
But you can't blame people. The internet is a huge place.
Oh, it is just massive.
Yeah.
However much you post everywhere, there's still going to be areas you miss.
Well, you're also unfortunately, especially with things like Facebook and everything else, you are beholden to their algorithms, and you're beholden to well, if you really want people to see this, you're going to have to put money behind it. You know, every time. And yeah, being in a band now, around every corner there is somebody with a hand out. You know, and it's just, it costs more to get your word out.
Yeah.
And you make less anyway.
Yes,
so
right.
But you know, look, that's the way it is, and I'm not saying. I wish we could. Yeah, I wish we could turn back time, because we can't. So any particular albums that really stand out from this year?
Paradise Lost from Juicer, very, very good album.
Right, that's appearing on a lot of albums of the year.
I really like that album a lot. Enslaved's album, very fine. Ice Earth, Arch Enemy, Roger Waters.
Well, now I'm a big Roger Waters fan, and I haven't got. Well, I say that I should wash my mouth out. I still haven't got round to listening to it.
Very good album.
Really.
And of course, the Pink Floyd exhibition was one of the big highlights of the year as well.
Right.
That was just at the V&A. That was just impressive, to say the least.
Wow.
I hope they take it on tour, because I think it deserves to go around the world. It's such a great exhibition.
Yeah.
Audio visually, it represents the Floyd.
And how much was that to get in and see?
£22, I think it was.
Right. To be utterly blown away like that.
Oh yeah, and you spend 2.5, 3 hours there, and you still can spend more time.
Yeah.
So it's very much value for money.
Well, it costs you £15 to go and watch a film.
Yeah. And this is just fantastic. There's so much to see and hear.
Yeah.
And it is just brilliant.
So basically, if it does go on tour, go and see it.
Absolutely go and see it. It's well worth seeing.
And so presumably, I haven't seen it, so it covers the Syd Barrett days, right? Through the splits and everything else.
I mean, firstly, once Roger Waters has left, I lost a bit of interest in the exhibition, but to me, after he left, it was never quite the same.
I'm exactly the same.
But even so, there's still a lot of great stuff there, post Waters, but they do cover the Barrett years very well as well.
Right, yeah. I must admit, I'm more a fan of Waters' solo stuff after he left Floyd than I am the Floyd stuff after he left.
Yes, me too. And I think it would be great to see him in a Hyde Park next year. That will be a great show.
Yes, that will be, because there's one thing that guy can do, it's put on a show.
Oh, he knows how to do it. Absolutely. He will deliver a performance. And that was definitely a big highlight of this year. But there have been so many good albums. Accept's album, excellent.
Yeah, no, I've heard that.
Very good album. But they've been making good albums for several years now. But everyone still wants Balls to the Wall, Metal Heart, Restless and Wild, which is understandable. But the new stuff is very good.
And produced by your friend of mine,
Andy
Sneap.
Indeed.
Yes.
I love the fact that Andy Sneap is a fan of Accept, so he knows what they can do, but won't accept any nonsense from them. So
yes, no pun intended.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he won't actually sort of sit there and say, yeah, that was good. He'll say, no, that wasn't good enough. You can do better. Do it again.
Yes.
He'll push them. And the new Saxon album he's produced, again, the same thing. You can tell he's gone in there with the attitude of, I love what you do. I know what you're capable of. I'm not going to accept 90%. I want 100% from you.
Yes.
And if if I don't get it, I'm going to make you do it again.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, yeah.
And Deep Purple, Infinite, their album this year was another real surprise. Excellent record.
And funnily enough, you said about Andy, when we were, I was looking to mix our new single, and we weren't sure we were going to be able to do it where we'd recorded it. And I called him up and said, look, mate, I need a favour. Is there any chance you could mix this single? And he said, look, it goes without saying, no problem, I'd help you out. He said, but I am absolutely back to back here. I'm going to go away and do a gig with Hell. I can't even make one rehearsal for it. And I'm in the studio, wall to wall, with Saxon, back to back with Judas Priest.
I know.
I was just like, really?
At the same time as producing Saxon.
Yeah.
Simultaneously, it was bloody hell.
It's like, well, you turn around to them and say that they're going to have to start a couple of days late because you're mixing the new Acid Rain single, all right? And if they say who, tell them to bugger off.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought, I just said to him, mate, I'll take that. Okay, that's the best turn down ever.
Yeah, he is a man in demand.
Yeah, and rightly.
And the thing is, he's a great fan. He loves Priest, loves Saxon, loves Accept, but he's not a great fan to the point where he'll just do a hagiography, as it were, or just basically go along with what they want. He'll actually be prepared to say, you can do it better. I know you can.
Yeah, he's not just going to be a fan in the room and go, yeah, that's great, guys. And he's going to push it. And we're going to come back to the same old, or I'm going to drag us back to the same old point. And in fact, we might have even said this on the last time. That is what Metallica need in the studio.
Absolutely.
Not someone there just saying, oh yeah, that's great, or oh, why don't you try this? Somebody in there saying, no, I'm in charge, and it's done when I say it's done.
Yeah, and it's not done because it's not good enough, so go away and do it again.
Yeah.
And Bob Evson did that with Purple. Clearly did it. Evson's produced the last two Purple albums and done a great job. And think, my God, I wish he'd been involved with them years ago.
Yeah, take these bands out of their comfort zones and put them in a place where, yes, they feel it, but the band's got to want to do that. The band's got to be prepared to say, right, okay, we're used to having control, and we're going to have to give up that control.
Totally. Well, listen to you.
Yes,
that's why you're here. And if I'm not prepared to listen to you, why have we got you?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're wasting money. We might as well just go and enjoy it ourselves, save money. But that's the point. Metallica, I think Andy Sneap would be a great choice for Metallica, but he would not accept what it seems Metallica are prepared to accept these days. He would actually say those songs are not good enough.
Yeah.
That take is not good enough.
I tell you what, if we'd had Andy Sneap doing Hardwired, you know what that'd be? That would be the best 10-track album that Metallica had done since Master of Puppets.
I think you're right.
Because half of that stuff would be, no, not good enough, and it's not going to be good enough. Let's stop working on this.
I think
because none of those riffs are up to snuff.
No.
Lars, what are you doing? Do it again.
Yeah.
You know. And the Bob Rock route, you know, when he's sat there on that documentary in the Black Album, and he stops recording and just turns around to Kurt and says, "That's it? Is it? That's the solo? Is it? Guitarist Hall of Fame solo? No. Go away and come back with something that's good enough to record."
Yeah, that's the point. That these producers push because it's sort of. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to get the best out of you, and not just to accept second best.
Well, it's also an ego thing. It's a producer going in there and saying, "Oh no, my name's on this album as well. Remember." Yeah. You know, I'm not accepting that because you think it's good enough. If I say it's not good enough, my name's on the back of the album, right next to yours, and people have an expectation of what I deliver.
Yeah, and you know it's not good enough. And what I'm saying is, you know already.
Yeah.
You can go too far the Mark Lang approach, which is pretty much take over the album.
Yes.
Although, in terms of commerciality, it worked enormously well for bands like Def Leppard and Foreign and others. But Andy Sneap, Bob Rock, those are people, you hire them for one reason, to listen to what they say. Because by listening to what they say, they're reflecting what you really know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, deep down, Lars and James especially know that Hardwired to Self-Destruct could have been better.
Yeah, and should have been shorter.
Should have been shorter, exactly. Totally agree with you. But it seems to have got rave reviews from most people and good sales, so they're probably saying, okay.
But again, what we come back to is the adjusting the levels. You know, people are raving about it because Metallica ain't set the bar that high.
Yeah, you're right.
So something like that comes out and they go, oh, this is wonderful. Oh, it's great. Oh, is it though? Is it? You know, is it really? I mean,
put it up against Master Puppets, the Black Album, Ride the Lightning.
Put it up against some of the Load stuff. It doesn't. And to me, a lot of it sounds like it could have been on the Load era Metallica.
Yeah.
Ploddy, mid-pace, not really
good enough.
Yeah.
And I think they know it's not good enough. They're doing about 5 or 6 songs on that album on this tour. Let's see how many they do in the next tour.
Absolutely.
Because it's rather intriguing. The live set has 5 or 6 new songs. Everything else is from the Black Album or before. So what happened to Sinanga? What happened to Load? What happened to Reload? What happened to Death Magnetic? All these.
Was there any Death Magnetic stuff in the set?
No, none.
Not one.
Not one.
Wow.
That's the point. They're doing 5 or 6 new songs, then they're jumping back to Black Era and earlier and missing out that whole chunk, which clearly they know isn't good enough and nobody wants.
Well, finally, Hetfield's come out and said, it wasn't my thing. I wasn't really into it. And yes, I missed Cliff because Cliff would have stood by me and said, yeah, I'm not keen on this either, we ain't doing this.
Well, yeah, it's different interpretation that Cliff may or may not have done. Who knows?
Yes.
Would Cliff have been happy with Injustice for All?
Well, you'd have been able to hear his bass, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I think that is quite surprising. There was no death match. I didn't realise. I thought at least something would make it in there.
So basically, we're promoting a new album, fair enough, and then we're going to do everything we want, which is basically nothing from the last 4 or 5 albums.
Yes.
So we're ignoring all those albums, so they're back to the Black Album and the 80s.
Yeah.
And that's what people want. And let's see how many hardwired songs are in the set for the next tour.
Yeah.
My guess is none.
Well, I've asked a few people if they're still playing it a year later. Some are, some aren't. Some who were raving about it at the time now say, will I play disc 1? You know, and it's like, yeah, right, okay. So that's after time. I think it's one of those things that you go back and you think, you know, I gave this 4 or 5 when it came out, and you go back and you go, yeah, it's a 2.5, it's a 3 at best.
Yeah, it's not as good as I thought it was at the time.
Yeah.
I think Metallica's name and the fact that people have so much affection for them automatically means people start off by saying, I am going to like it.
Oh yeah.
And there is, to me, Iron Maiden are the most loved metal band ever. But Metallica, I'm not far behind them.
Oh no, not at all.
But Maiden are still number 1. I think they're still the most loved band.
Well, for me,
even ahead of Sabbath.
Well, for me, putting out a double album that deep into your career, and it being, for me, one of the best things they've done in their entire career, I just think that is absolutely phenomenal. To deliver that kind of quality of product that deep into a career shows a dedication and a love for the music that has just never gone away. And I think, you know, for me, the Metallica sound is, there isn't that love there for thrash, if you like.
No.
You know, and Lars is always at pains to chuck in his, Arctic Monkeys influences and you know, and all the rest of it, and you just think, they ain't got great drumming on their albums either. So
that's why I like it.
Yeah, exactly. That explains that. Well, I seem to always drag our conversations back to Metallica, but as we were saying, the Old Guard brought some great albums out this year, but also new stuff coming through.
Exactly.
Is any cracking debut albums out there that we should be?
There've been a few this year. Been pretty good.
Yeah.
Supersonic Blues Machine comes to mind.
Right. Okay.
It's not really. It's the first time we've really had a proper release in the UK. And Tyler Bryant and Shakedowns, both blues-oriented bands, blues rock-oriented, really, really good. But again, on the metal front, there have been some interesting moments, certainly.
Yeah.
And we're still getting some really good albums coming through from young bands, and that will carry on happening, I think.
Yeah.
And one album to look out, maybe Sven to it, one album to look out for in February next year is a new album from the Temperance Movement, which is sensational.
The
Temperance.
Oh, the Temperance Movement.
They've been around for a while.
Yeah.
Got a couple of albums already. Good albums. This one, good grief, has taken it to a new level.
Really?
It is tremendous.
What label is that?
It's coming out on Earache, would you believe?
Really?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Who've branched out and developed from being very much a strict thrash, hardcore, extreme metal label to taking in so much other stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, it had Rival Sons.
Yeah.
And this is another move in that direction. And really good.
Right.
Well worth checking out. I think next year's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it already. Even though it's not far off, I know.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's got to look forward to, but I am looking forward to it.
Oh, well, and yeah, I mean, I was trying to think what albums am I looking forward to. Well, hopefully there'll be a new Voivod album, and that will be.
Yes, it should be. That's always worthwhile.
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's lovely to see Voivod getting an award at the Prog Awards.
Yes.
And Michelle always saying it's the first time I've ever been given an award. Wow.
And the exact right award, because for me, I've always referred to them as for me they're the Pink Floyd of thrash.
Absolutely.
They are removed from everybody else.
Yes.
They do their thing. You, and when I say you, I mean you, the listener, have some of your favourite bands are influenced by them, and you have no idea.
Absolutely.
The reach that they've had.
No, amazing band who continue to break barriers by doing things their own way.
Yeah.
And it was lovely to see them getting the acknowledgement, and it's lovely to see them being blown away. But wow, we can't believe someone's actually given us an award.
Yeah, that is awesome. And so do you do a lot of work on the Prog Mag?
Yeah. I'm actually...
Right, okay. Well, look, we could talk for hours. I need to ask you some questions for my Patreon part of the podcast. So, Malcolm, as always, an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
A pleasure.
Right. And it is always a pleasure to catch up with Malcolm. So there you go. That's it. That's the end. Unless, of course, you're a Patreon subscriber, in which case there's more. But for now, that is the end of 2017 from Talking Bollocks. From me, your host, Howard H. Smith. And what a year it's been. We have had a ton of cool interviews. I've met a ton of people. When I met Max, I was sat on the tour bus the other night chatting to Max Cavaliera. Last night I was sat in the Hilton chatting to Fish, one of my all-time heroes. I mean, this wouldn't be possible without the podcast and without you bollockers. Because if you weren't out there, I wouldn't be able to get these interviews. So it really is a team effort. So please do let as many people know as possible that this is happening. You can give a Patreon subscription as a gift. Fucking hell, I'm trying everything, aren't I? But look, I can't thank you enough. Honestly, I've had some really cool experiences, and you guys have got to listen to my really cool experiences, which is also really cool. Have I said really cool enough? Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thanks for keeping this going. I'm going to keep doing it as long as you guys are going to keep listening. It's been a cool 2017. Let's hope we all have a really, really good 2018. We saw Dan from chemotherapy all the way through to being fit enough to tour with the band, tour with Reanimator and us. It's 2018. Let's make it a year to remember, all of us. Thank you once again. I really, really do appreciate it. Every single one of you bollockers are cool as hell. You really are. You Patreon guys, you're even cooler. So thank you to all of you. I really appreciate it. Hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Hope you've had a good Christmas. And let's kick the arse out of 2018, eh? Come on, have it!